Thank you.
Dick will be recording. Kevin is at an ECDC meeting. Will be joining as soon as he can. He's anticipating sometime between 7:30 and 7:45. The last thing I'll say before we get into the agenda and the schedule is, since we're down 2, we're gonna keep moving forward with the budget and with the goals, which were to vote the base budgets, review some of the override budgets and/or warrant articles. But if anything comes up as a 3-2 vote, because the other 2 could materially change it, if it's okay with everyone here, I'm going to plan that we re-vote those. Traditionally, Tim and everyone else here, anybody can ask for something to be re-voted on subsequent days. But just just for perspectives, I'm going to suggest that anything that ends, if it ends in a 3-2, that we just plan that we'll bring it back up and re-vote it, just to make sure we have full representation. A 4-1 or a 5-0 means the other 2 votes wouldn't really matter, and we'll bring that forward. Okay.
Yeah, Jay, would you like me to make the usual motion that all? Yeah.
I was going. Yes, perfect.
Yeah. I make a motion that all the votes on the budget and warrant articles that we take tonight may be superseded by future votes.
Now we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
David has seconded. Karen Dow has made the motion. Any discussion? So a roll call vote, starting at the top. David Larson.
Aye.
Karen Dow.
Aye.
Tim O'Malley.
Aye.
And Karen Duvall.
Aye.
KOL aye. All right, so that supersede any vote taken tonight, we can revisit, which is it's a tradition we've always had. Karen, do you want to, Karen Duvall, do you want to, the plan was Masco has done their vote. If you want to give an update, fast or long or whatever necessary.
I think I can make this pretty quick for everyone. Originally, when we were talking about this last week, there had been a request by the administration of Masco to potentially add in multiple new FTEs. That request, it ended up being actually in the end 4 slots that were requested. In the end, the school committee chose not to move forward with any of the scenarios. So basically the discussion on the second was the administration presenting all of these potential FTE, explaining what the roles were. There was a maintenance head, which was an add back. There, like a grounds and facilities head. There was a transportation specialist. So apparently there was some work that had been absorbed by the principal's office, and there were stipends that were granted to cover that work. And the indication was that those that were receiving the stipends were no longer interested in receiving the stipends because the transportation coverage had become so massive, due to COVID and other issues, that they've decided they don't want to do this anymore in the principal's office. So they are going to need some support to cover that on a day-to-day basis. So there was a request there. There was a request for a director of curriculum, and forgive me, there was one other. In the course of the conversation, the school committee had asked for various combinations. So to play out financially, how would this work? What the impact would be if we went with 2 of these or 1 of these or 2 more of those. So there ended up being 6 scenarios they looked at. And in the end, on the meeting of the 7th, which was the one that overlapped with our meeting, the school committee declined to move forward with any of those. The additional reduction that you're seeing in the budget, which it's minimal, but it is slightly under what came in originally, was because there was a transposition of numbers in the certified E&D. So the number benefited us. And so there was a little more of a give back. So that's why we're seeing a slight tick down from what was presented to us. So Mike has the numbers. He folded those in to the model. So when we look at the model, we'll be able to see that. But that was voted in unanimously on Wednesday evening. So we are moving forward with that. I think the other thing to point out to everyone is, and I think the school committee rightfully so, there was a lot of discussion. And if you are interested, go back to the recording on the 2nd and start around 40 minutes or so. And it carries on for about 2 hours, but you've got that piece of it. And then clearly, majority of the meeting on the 7th was that was the context. So if you're interested in diving deeply into the dialogue that went around all of this. But what I would pull out from the 2 nights of conversation is really the point that the school committee tried to get across to the administration was, look, there's an appreciation for all you've been going through for the last couple of years, but it's time to start really refocusing yourself in on what it was you intended to get to, right? The capital plan, the broader 2025 plan. What does that vision mean in terms of changes? If there's staffing changes, whatever goes into that plan, there needs to be a plan, right? We can't piecemeal hit these things. And then also there's money, right? There's funds, right? There's the funds from the federal government and the state that we have opportunity to do some things with in the short term. And they should be looking to identify, what to use those funds for, and can those funds be used towards some of this work they want to do, right? Like a lot of discussion around the director of curriculum, right? Certainly something they'd like to see. One of Dr. Harvey's pushbacks on, some of the other positions was, well, we probably wouldn't want to hire these folks until later, in the fall kind of thing. And when the school committee said, why? Well, I don't have the capacity to bring anybody on board. And they're like, well, you got to find the time to do these things, right? So, in the same with the assistant superintendent and finance position, right? And well, I haven't had time to put plans together. I haven't had time to revisit those things. And they're like, well, you got to find the time, right? These are the things now that, we need you to start pivoting towards. So there was a lot of discussion around that. I think, rightfully so. I think Mike and Jeff they're burnt out, right? I mean, they've been going full tilt for 2+ years, right? At this point, 2 years of this. They kept talking about how, after the first year in that June, they went around and ripped all the signage down and everything. They thought they were good to go. And then 3 weeks later, we were back in, with kids are going to have to be in masks and all this stuff, right? We thought we would be done with all of that in August, right? So, it did, I think it was hard for morale, right? It was very difficult. And then when the testing came into play, it made it even harder, right? Now they were staffing testing booths out in, the back of the building in a car, idling from 6 o'clock in the morning until 7:30, right? And taking turns doing that kind of stuff. So completely distracted from anything other than just day-to-day operations, which isn't where they're meant to be, deeply engaged, right? That's why they have staffs, right? So, it's time for them to kind of take a breather over the next month or so and then come back, and really be thoughtful. We don't even know what days they're going to do early dismissal and late openings next year for professional training, right? They haven't even been able to get heads down enough to do that. So, I think it was a really good dialogue. I encourage folks who didn't get a chance to see it because they were either in our meetings or just, generally speaking, don't sit through those meetings. But again, like I said, if you hit the March 2nd meeting at around 40 minutes or so, 40 minutes and a half, and continue on, you'll get the general gist of it. And then if you watch, pieces of the sessions from the 7th, you'll get a pretty good read of where the school committee is coming from. So I thought that was helpful.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments for Karen? No.
Thank you for spending all that time.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a lovely afternoon.
I do have one quick question, which is just, did we ever get actual details or financial breakdown of what the model of what the raises are going to look like? I mean, we got what the numbers are, but was there any model ever given?
No. So we got numbers that were derived, but I do not believe the full contract language has been submitted publicly yet. Yeah. So I did look for it last week and it wasn't yet released. So I'm assuming it hasn't been released yet. And I meant to reach out to Zillian, Melissa and Bill to see if that had come out yet. But
So yeah, I mean, at least, and it's not so much for this year, but thinking next year and beyond is really understanding what they have modeled out for what that means for dollar increases would be very useful, I think.
Yeah, the focus in the discussion around contract was really around scheduling in the meetings, just simply because it's impactful to the school schedule. So that's going to consume them over the next couple of weeks, trying to figure that all out, right? Getting that win block in there.
Yeah. Anything else on the Masco? Right. Before we move on to the other things, just a quick note. Let you know, I sent you all a note as part of this, along with the link to the invite today and the agenda, was a note that had been dropped in our mailbox addressed to all of us. So I scanned it and just shared it with you all from Mr. Kinnan, who, when I say has had a number of roles in town, would probably be the utmost of under exaggeration, if you will, under play on that. But he had some views. As I said, it was addressed to all of us, so I shared it. But just if you guys want at some point to read that, just to be aware of what he said, great, and we'll move forward off of that. Okay. Go ahead.
I think as we've talked in our meetings, I think that he brings up a lot of valid points that, probably needed to be brought up. I think that, between the, his increases in the numbers, I don't know if they're totally accurate, but if they're even close, I mean, it's pretty staggering, not just the actual budget numbers, but the head count breakdown that he put in that letter is pretty thorough.
Yeah, I was curious as to whether he shared that letter elsewhere or similar letters elsewhere. Because I'm not disagreeing with you, Tim, or agreeing, honestly. I'm trying to stay neutral at this point, let everyone else talk. But I do feel that we have to come to our opinion on things, and this can inform it. I'm going to reach out to him simply and ask if he's also shared that information with the school committees themselves as a member of the town. Yeah.
I think there are subtleties to the school budget in the last 20 years, and really it's not so subtle. I think the number of kids who need extra attention has grown, and it's not just COVID. The special education population has certainly grown over the years. Topsfield seen as a great town to educate your child, and a great place for kids who need the little extra help. So I think I've seen things in school committee meetings or even presented to us that the proportion of the budget that's going to special education and education support costs has grown. Yep. And that's driven in a lot of cases by mandates that we have to properly educate children. But also I know that class size has shrunk, because my daughter was in the system when it was 737 students, and I know how big her classes were. And that certainly drives the budget.
So any other comments or anything to share in that? We'll keep moving on. Matt, if it's perfect right there, I just remind we hopefully have this Topsfield School Committee in. I'll check with John. I believe it was in 2 weeks that they were expecting them to come in on the 28th and to present their final budget at that point, which is at the last minute, we know, but seems to be the way things, that's the way it's been.
Just ask, is anyone aware if this member of community that shared this letter with us, if he attended the school committee meetings and was vocal?
I don't know if he has.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
curious.
So how do I phrase it? I want to make sure I'm going to reach out to him simply, because of respect to, he's done a lot in this town and whatnot.
Oh,
Yeah. And secondly, more of, I want to make sure he understands we're not an intermediate. He's directed this to us so we can make our own, is an attempt to influence our discussions, which is appropriate. That's part of an appropriate thing. I just want to make sure he's not expecting us to communicate this elsewhere outside of our meeting. We're not a communication mechanism. I just want to confirm that with him.
I suspect he's savvy enough that he understands.
I'm just doing the respect of making sure.
Yes.
I suspect he's gonna.
I'm sure there was a similar letter.
Yes.
I too was thinking there's a lot packed in there, and I certainly hope he has expressed his concerns with the appropriate parties in addition to us. Right.
There are things in here that I'm sure when the school committee does come in front of us, there's stuff in there that I'm sure some people here will ask. So if they have that information ahead of time that they're going to ask, that helps facilitate the conversation. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so I just shared that for that reason. The only other thing I got in the mail was a copy of our financial statement from last year. So I'm not sure that I think it's been there for quite a while. But that was in our mailbox as well. So I picked that up while I was there. So we have meeting minutes, which I technically didn't put on the agenda, but I'm going to keep going forward, and if we can approve those, and then we can start in on the base budget if that works for everyone. So Karen shared a meeting minutes from last week's meeting. They were up to Karen's normal standards and quality. So I will take a motion or a comment.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of March 7th as written.
I have a motion from David Larson.
I'll second.
I have a second from Karen Duvall. I'll pause for a minute. Give people a moment.
I was trying to give Tim a chance to second, but we got to get you on record at some point, Tim.
Oh yeah, he's approved things, moved things, whatever.
Is there any discussion? Roll call vote, and I'll start on the opposite way this time. So Tim?
I approve.
Karen Duvall?
Aye.
Karen Dow?
Aye.
David Larson?
Aye.
Chair Alwell, aye. Meeting minutes approved. Okay. I am going to share my screen. I'm going to try this.
You throw Tim and I off when you reverse the order, right? Because we're like on mute and we're like waiting for all the names to go before we hit the button.
Yeah, I do, but it just makes it different. So this is the base budget, or this is our budget sheet, as you all have seen it and gone through it. The way it works, we've gone through all of these before, but this column is the base budget, which is just a standard budget, and all of the over askings are noted here and are viewable in the above guidelines as individual items. The way we're going to do this is we're going to go through and at the high level, so I'll scroll down and say, for example, accounting department, this is what their budget is and what their target is, and we'll go through all of these. If there are any questions or comments, great. Otherwise, or areas you don't want to vote or hold out, we can do that. Otherwise, we're going to vote the base budget for the town. And then we can start talking about the above guidelines items, which are here.
Jay, would it be possible for you to use the Excel Zoom bar a little bit? Thank you. For those of us who were on a laptop.
Absolutely. As soon as you said
I was with you. I was trying, I'm like, view options. Okay, how can I make this?
Yeah.
Actually see?
So I think this will get us enough because we can see the notes, which is where anything that's, an over ask would be in, like this. So I think this should be enough to get us through this. All right. Does that work for everyone?
Quick question. At the last meeting, Kevin said he'd gone back to the departments looking for additional ways to reduce the budget.
Yeah.
How would that fit in? I think this omnibus is a previous one, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So it's the only one I checked back with them
Right.
and did not get anything back. There was nothing back. No updates.
Got it.
So we're going to have, just based on time, we're going to have to go off of this, and then we'll push back on him, knowing that the base, this is really more to highlight, are there any specific departments that people have concerns with as we go through it, and highlight those. We don't, typically, so I don't do it at each line item. I won't be doing it at each line item, but in since considering it's 580, oh no, more than that, 800 rows. I don't think we need to go through all of it, at the line item level, please. But that was, we'll start, for example, at the total of the select board, the town moderator, and keep going through at that level. Okay. And
Yeah,
so,
basically the base budget should be level services with whatever the salary grid or contracts have done.
right.
Correct.
Right. That is all it should be at this point. So, for example, right here for the select board meeting or wages, they have what the level services, and then they're asking for an additional 552. Well, the 552 is not part of this, but is instead in the above guidelines. So we'll get to and vote to that later on.
Che, we might need to look at column CA, because it's got, like, for example, Kevin's negotiated contract in it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think the finance committee column right now is mostly BW, but
yeah,
with
got it.
it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't have the over guidelines in it yet.
One thing. Yeah, no, it definitely does not. Those are the double checks. Okay, so that's the differences right there. All right.
So are they expecting us to vote the over guidelines so then they can include those and update?
So what we would do is we'd vote the base. If we support the base and get through that, then we go to the above guidelines. And if you look here, each one of those, we will vote each one of those individually on the above guidelines.
Yeah. And then they'll go back and update the base, and then we'll vote that again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So the budget details get updated with whichever ones are approved. And then based on that, we would then review it one more time and vote the overall.
Right. And I suspect that's when Kevin would probably come back with the reductions, right?
Yeah.
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 So David, in the past, I think one of the other things we've done though is made, notation that some things were conditional, right? So, as part of the conversations we had last week, for instance, with Kevin, he said he would go back on certain ones of these to say, I'll go look, for that. Or I think one of them, we thought he had a $10,000 or $15,000 savings. So that might reduce his over guideline ask on this other.
That's a good point.
So
we don't have Mike or Catherine here either to look
right.
up.
So, there were some of those that we could make the comment and say, look, we're not, sorry if I'm stepping, but I think in past years we've, made the comments to say, if you go do this, right, then we'll consider voting that, it just because they're, rather than just leaving them hang there as unvoted because we're waiting for information, give them specific guidance as to
where we
are, right?
Where we're supportive of and where we're not.
Yeah, and always that we can supersede votes, just feeds right in.
So we're going to vote on column CA then. Is that correct, Karen?
Yeah.
Probably almost like.
There'll be a couple when we find them. The identity. I mean, so example, they just negotiated a new contract here, signed, a week, 2 weeks ago. For Kevin. But if you go through down the list, I mean, it's the rest of the ways it'll be almost essentially the
So
same.
far, yeah.
All right. So before we vote, so there's two ways we can do this. We can either start at each of the major subcategories, of which there are about 30. Moderator, select board, the entire department, the select, including the special, the finance committee, accounting, the assessors, all the way through the police and down to zoning and everything else. And just go through these quickly. I would suggest that I'd ask that if anyone wants to pull any out, we pull them out. Otherwise, we don't vote until we get at least a significant number of them, because it takes 3 or 4 minutes to vote, and 3 or 4 minutes on each one of these is going to, there's 2 hours right there.
Good way to do it. Jay, you just go down, and if somebody wants to pull it. Otherwise, we just accumulate them and vote.
Sounds great.
Excellent.
So we'll start moderator at 50, no change. Any issues with that? Okay, so we go down to the select board. It's a change. It's 300,000. Which she doesn't have which is the only change being the addition of this. Otherwise, so it changes the percentage.
So I don't know if it's a discussion point, but if I look at the raise that Kevin's being offered, it's about 11%.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did not get a raise last year.
Okay, but the point that I think is important to note is the rest of the town departments we're asking to stay under 2.5%, right? Mm-hmm. So even if you annualize Kevin's raise at 11%, that's 5.5% per year.
11? I thought it was 9.
Well, 10% of 136 is 13.
So yeah, so it's right at 10, right around 10. Oh, it's an easy way to do this.
Well, I mean, the selectmen negotiate salaries.
And
No, I'm not suggesting that we debate it. All I'm suggesting is, you got the rest of the town departments at 2.5%. I think it's a little bit out there. It's an outlier.
Yeah. I'd be interested to understand market for town administrators, right? I mean, I think, Kevin came into this when it was a new position, right? His responsibilities have, it is in the context it is now. I mean, the prior town administrators were not functioning in the same manner that Kevin is functioning by any means.
So ultimately, though, it's pointed, it's noted, and it is, 9% raise, 9.76% raise over, so it's even at yearly, it's 4.5. Any other comments anyone wants to make on that one? No. Okay. Any objection? Tim, personally, I recognize and acknowledge. I'm not questioning that Kevin, the value he provides. I'm more concerned, to your point,
not either,
with what the optics are of that to the rest of the employees. But that ultimately is the select board that has already voted and approved that. So at that point, it's contractual. So I think you were saying this is similar. I mean, he definitely. So, under a 1% increase for the select board department, inclusive of his raise. Right. No, a little more than that. Sorry.
I was going to say, it's more like
5%.
Yeah, no. Sorry.
It's about
like 5%, right?
It's like 7%.
Plus, let me do this. 130.
Yeah, it's like 5.
It's 5%.
Close enough.
Yeah.
For the purposes of this meeting.
Yeah. No, I put an extra 3 in there. All right, so 15,000. Yeah, so it's anyway, yeah, for 5% off of that. Any concerns? All right. Select board specials remains the same. Oh, just to keep this back here. No requests, no over guidelines. The two places they are just noting the digital communication coordinator, which we'll discuss later on, and the minutes salaries are the only two places in anywhere in the select board that we are doing that. Where there's any sort of work there. Okay. So continuing down, we have the finance committee, where it really is only the meeting minutes, which we've been doing ourselves. But I'll be perfectly honest, there is a rumor that the person that's doing amazing ones that we're not going to be able to convince her to stay. And
not even for the $1,600.
I don't know. I'm not seeing a penny.
I was going to say pay her.
Yeah, I agree.
No, I would not come back to do minutes as a non-member for $1,600. No, sorry.
So anyway, I think this one will keep in. I'll ask that we keep in this for my own sanity for next year and the rest of ours sanity, that we may actually be able to use it. Beyond that, there's just some miscellaneous expenses, and there's really no change anywhere in any of those. And the only change was just a bump to the grid on the meeting minutes. And then we have our reserve fund. Traditionally, we hold $100,000 in the reserve fund, and that is not changing. And that's still there.
Is that cumulative?
No.
No, it free cash. It goes to free cash the following year.
And how often do we actually take money out of that and use it?
Depends on the year. Lately, because of COVID and hiring freezes and things, there's been turnbacks available to apply at special town meeting. But in previous years, there's been
2 years ago we had a couple, right? 2 years ago there was it an electric one or?
Yeah, there's been a few, and I think in 12 years there was at least 1 year that we used most of it. It just depends on what happens. This is your emergency fund, the cash on the mantelpiece kind of thing. And
I'd add to it. The one thing I like about this is it requires our vote to use it. So what it does is there's a mechanism, but if someone's over budget, we know about, over the entirety of their budget, we know about it. So moving on, if there's no concerns with the FinCom, we'll move on to accounting. 2%, it's basically just the bylaws, the salaries. On that side, and 0% on the.
Where is the 2% increase? I don't even see it.
Right here, the salaries. So what you're seeing is a proposed budget. So let me do that. Sorry.
I got you. Okay.
Sorry. There we go. Get back down there now. So there's the raises right there. That's the increase and decrease. If we kept going left, it'd show the level funded and what 22 was. There we go. All right. Assessors department. So that total of 1.64. Assessors department coming in at 0.83 increase. Same thing. It's effectively all. So in this case, it's so small because there was actual drop to the wages for the assistant assessor. If I remember correctly, that was more of an hours thing. And then no change to the expenses within the assessors department. Any concern? I'm going too slow or too fast? Speak up. we'll keep moving. Treasurers, grid only. There will be a request for Gatsby. It's one of the over asks that we'll talk about, which we had talked about already, if you guys remember, but we'll bring that back. 275 for a 1.43 total increase. And that's all, again, all of it is salary, wages and salary. So there's a realignment of accounts that effectively washes a number of these out. There's a $300 change there, but it's kind of dropped here. So this is just really, these are effectively a wash. So other than those, there is really no change in the town hall expenses. And comes in at 265, 466. So for the old town, old electricity for the old city highway garage, there's going to be an ask for $225 but other than that, it's $400 for that for town-owned buildings. No change. PEG. There is a small offset of, increase of $48, which is really more of the stipend versus what actually the cost is. So it's a $48 increase. Comes into 0.09%. Any concerns?
Other.
Town clerk. There will be a request for election workers. We'll come to in the over ask. Other than that, it is all bylaws increases, grid and wage. It comes in at 1.76, 0% on the rest. Next is the conscom, which is again just basically is the administrative assistant and the administrator and their salaries increases. Planning board, $5. Is it 5 members of the planning board?
Yeah.
$1 each, which they all almost always seem to give back. So there's actually a drop here. No real. Other than
that reminds me, Che, the planning board and the selectmen basically serve for free. The assessors have insisted that they need to keep their $1,500 each, which annoys me a little, but it is what it is. It's not a huge amount in the budget, but just,
Yeah.
I'm sorry I didn't point that out when we were in the assessors section. I'm not going to say we should remove it because that's just a fight I'm not interested in having, but just so everybody knows, when times were tight back in 2009, everybody else said, yeah, okay. It's a nominal salary anyhow.
Yeah.
And the assessors refused.
Good to know. We'll have to push it.
We should ask that separately, though, Karen, just from an efficiency standpoint. Does it really make sense?
Yeah.
To process it and everything else, keep it on the books.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's why the people who are only getting $1 say they decline it because it's annoying to have to track and you've got to worry about
you actually have to add in a whole nother line when you're doing your taxes.
Yep.
Remind that it probably costs the town more than that $1 to administrate it. Right?
Yeah.
And in fact, because I was a selectman before the salary was reduced to $1. I was paid, $800 or something for a partial year, and I was in the Essex County retirement system and everything. I had to sign something that said, "Yeah, no, I don't need that."
Yeah.
I need your 37 cents, Karen.
I still get one from the town of Amherst, where I went in college, where I worked for the town for 2 years. And it's like, you've probably paid more in postage to mail me these things, but I can't take it out without getting a tax. So
Yeah. Anyhow.
Anyway, all right. So planning board, it dropped due to some of the changes, drops in postage and office supplies and whatnot. And zoning board, small change, similar type of thing. It looks like it's kind of a change between the two. Some moving and postage and whatnot, other items. Any concerns with the zoning and or planning?
Take a vote now at this point, Jay? Or?
I think general government is a good place to take a vote. So I would take a motion for approval or recommend a recommendation to support a recommendation of positive action. That's how we phrase them. A recommendation of positive action on a total general government base budget of $1,733,340.
So moved.
Okay, Karen Dow has made a motion.
Second.
Tim has seconded it.
Hey, Karen, I did it.
It's awesome. We will do a roll call vote, and I will start with David this time.
Aye.
David is aye. Karen Dow.
Aye.
Karen Duvall.
Aye.
Tim O'Malley.
Aye.
Chair Elwell, aye. We have our first one done. Well, done for now. Public safety, police department. So we'll do the police and fire separately, I think they're sufficiently large to just do those, and then we'll keep going, lumping them together. So police, we've gone over this a number of times. 2% for the chief, the captains. There's a slight drop due to the and a removal of the longevity with the promotion of the new captain. Other items. All the net of all of this is the police department salary and wages is a minus 0.8% or a $12,000 reduction, 12.5 reduction in cost.
And just to highlight that, Jay, that nominally would have been a 2% increase instead of a 12,000. So they really did a good job trying to bring the budget more in line with actual this year. So the chief did a good job.
Nice. And then the only real difference was the office equipment and furniture. I believe that there was two others. And advertising and police supplies. I mean, the advertising was just a transfer. It was in the wrong thing. Copier expenses went up, and so actually, where is it? Oh, it's zero. Sorry, I was looking at 0.74. So it's zero for the equipment. Any concerns with the police? Can we vote the base budget for the police? Recommend a positive action of $1,673,115 for positive action on the police department's budget.
So moved.
All right, Karen Dow is presented.
It'll be easier if the same people do it.
Yeah.
That's what I was hoping. Second.
All right, David Larson has seconded it. Any discussion? All right. I think Mike might be a little upset that he's not at this one, so he may want to raise it next time as a discussion point, but we'll move forward, starting from the bottom this time, not representing anything other than where you are in my view, not my perspective of any of you, but starting at the bottom. Tim?
Aye.
Karen Duvall?
Aye.
Karen Dow?
Aye.
David Larson?
Aye.
Jay Elwell, aye. Moving on to the fire department. 2% for the chief. Note that this one does have there were a couple of minor requests for the police department, and that will come to. Thank you. Daughter brought me a nice cup of tea.
Bye, Daddy.
So for the fire department, jumping into it again, 2% for the chief. There is the ask coming in when we get to the over for the extra firefighters. Beyond that, there is a contractual increase of 5.76% in total for of $15,000 for the wages for the firefighters, and call firefighters. Also a reduction because of this. Part of this, they moved $10,000 out of overtime to bring it up here. So that's why this number is greater than this, because the anticipation that the call firefighters and firefighters will be taking more hours and there'll be less on the overtime. So that 5.85 is reflective of more than just the increase in the salary, the hourly increase. I don't know if there's anything else anyone wants to cover on that. For the fire department itself, there's really no changes. There's the $1,000 one, but it's a move between two accounts. That's it. And so total is a 2.44% increase, which is exclusively aligned with the contractual increases. And is $1,069,130.
Okay, can you scroll back up for a second?
Absolutely.
That increase, Jay, represents the 2 additional headcount as well?
Right here. No.
So the 2 additional headcount will be above guidelines, and that's outside of this. So that will be then discussed and voted separately.
And then on the call firefighters, the contingent request, can you slide over to CD? Yeah. So there's an above ask there as well, correct?
Yeah.
And that 47, remind me, is that assuming she does not get approval, the chief does not get approval for the 2?
Where is 47? Oh.
That is correct.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
So if she
Thank you,
doesn't get 100 plus, then she's going to ask for the 47.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
That was Jen. You didn't realize Jen was on. Thank you, Jen.
Oh, you're welcome. Just trying to watch.
No, that was fantastic.
No, and I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jen, but the 2 firefighters, if they're not approved, that $10,000 reduction potentially is going to have to be changed again.
Yeah, it's all bets will be off at that point. There simply aren't the people to do it, so we can't think like that.
Yeah,
it would pull that 10 grand back in, and it would pull this 1250 back in as well, right?
Yep.
Because that's the incentive for the yeah.
Okay.
So in essence,
so then the net increase is more like 120,000.
So it's 135.5.
Plus this
It would end
10,000.
up being 47 plus 10 plus 1250, right?
Well, so looking at this, multiple ways to look at it, right? So, but you're reducing this 10 here in anticipation of receiving this.
Yes, that's the way we have to think.
Yep. So that's 100. So the net is this, while it says 135 is really a 125 because of that, right? Is there others? I guess, Karen, you were adding something else also.
So what I was saying is if Chief does not receive the support for the 135, then it would mean the 47, the 10 would come back into play, and this 1250 down below would also come back into play, correct?
Maybe it depends on it's reflective. That 1250 is reflective
of the fact that I can't get people to come. I'm sure that like everybody else. So that's why they're not making the response incentive by their contract. And frankly, it's poorly written in their contract because the call volume is so high, they simply can't do that. A person who has a full-time job and a family can't achieve that incentive. So,
okay. So then we're looking at 57 as an add back if you don't get the 135.
Yeah.
So Tim, to your point, then the delta is in the ballpark of 80, right? Doing my math right? 70 and change.
Well, you could look at the contingency request of the 47K. It's still an over guideline. It's just
right, but I'm just saying, net, right?
Yeah.
Those also the call firefighter wages are underfunded because the budgets were done before the contracts were signed. So that's one that's tight, and that's when you were talking about reserve fund transfers. That's exactly the kind of place that might happen in, because our call volume is so much higher, and those line items the budget was set before the contracts were done, so it's behind them.
So that's a perfect example. Usually Tim, to your question earlier, usually we do about the reserve fund. Usually there's a salary reserve fund that's put in place, but sometimes when contracts run late, we start getting, it becomes a problem, or becomes a problem. So to Chief Brown's point, it's another place where it could get used.
And the unexpected aspect of requesting a reserve fund transfer here would be we weren't able to project that the call volume would go crazy like it has. And that drives the cost up because you're paying people for more calls. And it goes beyond the budget.
That's good. That's different than the salary reserve. Right, Karen?
The salary reserve is there to give you some money to negotiate with without showing people where you can get to.
Right.
And usually there's multiple negotiations going on, so nobody can say, oh, I know I can ask for 20,000 extra because it's 20, there.
Yeah, because there's 20,050 in that account.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Any questions, more comments, questions on the fire? All right. So for Finance Committee, the number for the fire department is $1,069,130.
So moved.
Motion for positive action has been moved by Karen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Karen Duvall has seconded. Roll call vote from the top. David?
All right.
Karen Dow?
Aye.
Karen Duvall?
Aye.
Tim O'Malley?
Yep.
And Chair Walleye. Moving on. Now we'll go through a number of these until we get, we'll move through the rest of these that are part of the public safety and other areas until we get through to the rest and do the sum total of the rest of those, if that's okay. So inspections department, increases are really tied to the bylaws and the salaries. The only difference is there is a over ask that will come to around the wages for the alternate. Is it alternate or anyway?
It's both, because the inspector, it's a question of the number of hours.
Right. Got it.
And then there's the alternate.
Yeah. So those two coming in at about $20,000, a little over $20,000.
Remind me, that was the delta between 30 and 40 hours, or the delta between less than 30 and then bringing it up to 30, and then the over asking is to bring it up.
30 to 40 hours.
It's the over ask.
Yeah, right here.
That's the over ask. So the increase that we're seeing prior to the over ask.
That is the increase is simply salary. Personnel sorry. What is that?
I think you're right, Karen. That may be bringing it up to the quote 30 hours.
Yeah.
standard? I'm not sure, but because I know Glenn was down at 18 or 19.
Glenn was down to 15. Or how much was Glenn down to? I mean, Glenn was down pretty low.
Right. So you may be.
Glenn was down to 19 hours.
19 hours, yeah. That's right. So do you want to hold this one? I mean, Kevin should.
No, I'm just, let me open up the bigger book here. Hang on a second. I can
Okay.
tag it.
Kevin should be on shortly, so we can also just hold this and keep moving forward
Sure.
and come back to inspections.
Meantime, I'll look it up.
Okay, I'm going to keep going then. I'm just taking a note of the ones we have not done so we don't lose them. Moving on from inspection, seal of weights and measures, no change, 1726. Any concerns? Keep moving. Same for animal control officer, no changes. Animal inspector, no changes, 0% increases for each of those. Tree warden, 0%. And also that includes for the tree warden, both salary and for supplies. And note they have removed the request for the extra $2,900. I'm going to pause on public safety. We'll come back to it as we get to inspection. We can vote all of those. If it just, well, actually, let's just do it this way. Let's vote the weights and measures.
The numbers say if you want to just hold for a second, we go back to the inspections.
You want to come back to it? You got it?
So I went back into the book. So the fiscal 22 appropriation was 64,347.
Yep.
The prior year was the year that we had the
30,000.
The 39,000. So the jump from fiscal 21 to 22 was the move from Glenn to the new hire, right? The new hire. And then I think my guess is that this represents, when did they?
Looks like it's
that person exited in the fall, right?
Yeah.
The jump might be a different step.
Yeah, right.
Like trying to hire in a higher level.
Yeah.
Or more hours, right? Because
combination of both, it looks like.
I think the more hours is in the over ask.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out the delta. Why we're at a 7% increase year over year when the position's vacant.
Let's hold this. Kevin's going to get on. We'll come back to this one.
Okay.
And we'll just hold it that way. It's efficient. It will be an efficient question to ask and then move on. So sealer, weights and measures, animal control, animal inspector, tree warden, individually coming in at $1,726, $10,800, $9,590, and $15,762. We recommend positive action in support of the base budget for those.
What was the number again, Shay?
So let me total them.
We could just wait for Kevin and vote the total public safety line now that we've done the individual police and fire.
Guess who just joined?
Oh, perfect timing.
Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
He's like, I don't even have my mic on yet, people.
Your timing is perfect.
Excellent. Sorry for my delay.
No problem. We're voting the base budgets right now, and we had a question on the inspector. And specifically, what we're trying to remember why the 7.28% increase there. We know the over asking of 18,000 for the extra hours, but what was it that caused this to go up by that amount?
So I have an update. So what we're looking to do on this particular line item is to change that over asking to bear with me for 1 second while I pull it.
Okay.
An over asking of $4,900, and that will get us the ask is for two hours, not 10 hours. Initially, when we were first going through this process, we were transitioning out of our.
Yeah. So that's sorry, Kevin, that's the over ask part of it, right?
Yep.
in the ask itself, in the right here,
The base.
Oh,
in the base, there's a 7.2%, 28% increase, or a $4,000 increase, 4,600. Whereas all the other ones, that because it's all personnel bylaws. So what caused this position to go up by more than significantly more than the 2% or so that everyone else went up by?
so that was a department in transition. Glenn was our inspector for 23 years. We found through our first process a year ago when we posted the position in a year ago, May, that we had a real difficult time attracting somebody for the position. So what that represents is up to an 11 on the grade 8 from, I think, which was initially maybe a 9. I believe I know that what we've done though is in real time, we've actually gone to a place where we have someone very talented that we recruited from another community I've been in negotiations with Friday, Sunday, and today about trying to bring them in. The person's going to take a significant pay cut to come work for Topsfield because they like what they hear and they like what they see. But in order to get to a place where we can bring that talented person on, we're going to need to go from the 30 hours to the 32 hours.
Yeah. So, and I get that. I'm staying very focused right now on the base budget. The over ask will come to later on tonight.
Okay. I'm just very excited about it.
Yeah. Understand. So the 7.28% increase is really because you went from a step 9 to a step 11.
That's correct.
Perfect.
Based on market conditions.
Yep. Okay. Anybody have any concerns or comments on that aspect or the inspections department in total? No. So if we look across all of public safety, we've already voted the police and the fire, but if you take the police and fire and add in the rest of these, which are the inspections, the sealer of weights and measures, the animal control and the animal inspectors and the tree warden, our total public safety budget is $2,944,964. Any concerns with voting in the remainder of that $2,944,964? No.
So I'm going to make a motion to approve the total public safety at the $2,944,964.
Yes. So we have a motion from Karen Dow to approve.
Okay.
Tim seconds it. Roll call vote starting at the bottom this time. Tim?
Aye.
Karen Duvall?
Aye.
Karen Dow?
Aye.
David Larson?
Aye.
Jay L.L.I. Let's skip education, specifically those, because those are separate line items I think we need to do later and differently, right?
Yeah.
And actually, I'm pretty sure they're not updated to the most recent baseline. Public Works, no increase. Highway Department has a salary and wage increase of 3.48% or $13,858. This is union contracts.
Right.
And personnel bylaws for the admin and the superintendent.
Yep.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could, that represents 2 years of increases because we were 1 year out of contract last year.
Okay. Any questions, concerns on that? Zero. So the couple of movements, I think they're all realignments, right? Yeah. Well, there's one small thing, 400 in the tool replacement increase. No, that's all realignment.
It's all offset.
It's all offset. So 0% on the highway expenses. So a total of a 2.15% all personnel for the highway department. Any concerns there? Questions? It gives then like this. let's do the highway. Well, let me see. No, let's.
Why don't we do the whole category? We'll go
Yeah.
faster.
Yes, thank you.
And the minutes will be shorter.
There you go. Snow and ice.
It's good. It's level.
It's level, 0, all movements. Street lights, 0.
Wait. Can we roll
Sure.
back up? Right there. Up in the salary and scroll back up again. What did
For
we
snow
just
and
say?
ice?
Yeah, the first line item there. Realignment of accounts. Never mind.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's so this was 5,000 on this side and then the drop over here.
Yep.
So zeros out, zero on the street lights. 0 on the rubbish collecting and a reduction of $1,000 on the hazardous waste.
Can I just ask a question, Kevin, on the electricity for the street light expense?
Yes.
We haven't seen a reduction with the solar lights downtown?
So those were a net add, but they're off the grid. So we don't have any cost for electricity on them, and they didn't replace any lights that already existed yet. We're gonna, when we do a light retrofit, which we've been talking about now for a little over a year, town-wide with the existing lights, we're gonna find hopefully some efficiencies and cost savings with that, and potentially remove some of the overhead lights in the downtown that you might see right now. So eventually we'll have a net loss because of those solar lights, we believe, but we have to wait to see how that plays out.
Okay, thank you.
0% on the rubbish. Note the contract ends next year. This is the last year. What you see here, that's going to be 0.
Kevin's often at this. Of course, it's going to stay flat.
Yeah. So one comment, I did have a conversation on this with Boxford's FinCom chair as well a couple months ago, and I mentioned that to Kevin as well. They're looking at things, and I'll just throw out there, 2 towns are bigger than 1.
Mm-hmm.
So doesn't mean it would work, because we're actually more populous per square acre or whatnot than square mile than they are. So it may not be in our favor, but it's something to consider. Recycling expenses, 0 change there. Parks and cemetery. Going through this, 2% for the superintendent, addition of longevity of 400 to give it 2.9%. Union contract, and I assume, is this similar, Kevin, as 2 years? This is baked in 2 years, right?
That represents 2 years compounded, yes.
Yeah, okay. So that's effectively where it all stands. Net is the 3.96% increase.
But there is one add of hours here, correct? In the clerical.
I think it got pulled out. No. Yeah, I don't think.
Okay, all right.
Parks and Cemetery, you didn't keep the above guidelines, right? Or, yeah, it's pulled out.
Okay.
Yeah, so the FTE under Park and Cemeteries.
That's right, you're funding yourself.
Oh, that one is, but yeah, okay, so yeah, all that's left in Parks and Cemetery are services, not wages.
Mm-hmm.
So 3.96 plus then Parks and Cemeteries, a couple of areas, electricity is down, it's a realignment, or it looks like. Realignment. The professional services, we'll get to that, of groundskeeper. That's the move of the services for mowing, right? At the cemetery.
That's the outsourcing of the cemetery, offset by the revolving fund and the perpetual care fund.
Okay, so we'll discuss that one as we did later. So the net of that for total of Parks and Cemetery, so expenses are down 0.92% on the base budget, 3% total increase for Parks and Cemetery. Any concerns there? Landfill. New contract, it's down $12,700 for a 30% reduction in the cost for the landfill. It's assumed there's no concerns with a 30% reduction. And so that brings our total public works budget to $1,668,252. 1,668,252.
I'll make a motion for that number.
For positive action. We have a motion for positive action, to support positive action. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Karen Duvall is seconded. Roll call vote. Starting at the bottom this time. Tim.
Aye.
Karen Duvall.
Aye.
Karen Dow.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Che, aye. All right, we're actually making pretty good progress. Human Services, Board of Health. There is the ask of the increase on the Board of Health Board Secretary of $20 for 3 hour increase because that's the adjustment for the all right. That is the $20 adjustment on what had been approved last year at town meeting, just for salary based on the grid movement. Moving on, keeping my mouth shut. Dead animals pick up an additional $500 into that. No, it says it's moved from Parks and Cemeteries. Oh, okay.
It was an account realignment. Yeah.
Realignment, yeah. All right. So 1.75% total for 137,082, $137,082. Any concerns with that? Council on Aging, there's a longevity increase of $100, which comes in at 17%, but other than that, the same. It's all of just personnel by increases. And then 0% for the expenses. So a total of $140,400 for the Council on Aging. Veteran Service, 0. 2960, Soldiers and Graves, 0 at 1,000. Total for Human Services is $299,442.
I'll make a motion for that amount. Positive action.
We have a motion for positive action from Karen Dow. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, David Larson is second. Do we have any discussion? Roll call vote. David Larson.
Aye.
Karen Dow.
Aye.
Karen Duvall.
Aye.
Tim O'Malley.
Aye.
Jay Owell, aye. Cultural and Recreation, 0.5% increase, all due to step and grade changes or bylaw personnel changes for a total of 0.5%. The driver there, a lot of that driver of the 0.5% is the savings because of the loss of our existing director and our new exciting to have director, but less experience. And then no changes to the library expenses. So a 0.38% increase for the library department. 654,933. Rec department has a 1.95% increase on the realignment of costs, and that is basically the only cost differential. And so a 1.83 total at $33,708. Any questions, comments? Historical Commission, $100 reduction for realignment. I'm not sure where that one went. We'll find it. It's down here somewhere, I'm sure.
Might just not need it.
Yeah, well, I would think, except it says it's a realign, so I think there's probably there.
I can clarify. Based on historicals, we want to make sure they have some funding available with some of the programming that they do potentially want to perform, but we felt comfortable bringing it down 25 or taking 100% or $100.
So it isn't really a realign; it's an actual reduce.
It's a reduction.
Excellent. All right, 300. Ooh. No concerns there. Yay. Memorial and Veterans Day, 0% change to that. Holiday on the Green is none. So total for culture and recreation is $690,791. It represents a 0.43 increase.
Make a motion for positive action for that amount.
We have a positive recommendation from Karen Dow. Motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Tim has seconded it. Roll call vote starting at the top. David Larson.
Aye.
Karen Dow.
Aye.
Karen Duvall.
Aye.
Tim.
Aye.
Malley. Aye. And Chair will aye. Debt service is going to have a net of 16% reduction. That's primarily due to $200,000 roll off. And the final payments on the 2012 debt. And some other, along the way, some reductions due to actual debt payments being in where they are. There are a couple where they are requesting. And when we get to those, we'll have to remember that that there's some savings there as well. Previous or cost avoidance. That's not a savings. That just means we paid it off. So the total for the debt is $1 million to service the debt is $1,096,864, or a drop of 16%.
Make a motion for positive action on that debt amount.
We have a motion from Karen.
Second.
Second from David. From the bottom, we'll work up this time. Roll call vote. Tim O'Malley. Nope, you were on mute. You.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Karen Duvall.
Aye.
Karen Dow.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
And Che. Aye. Retirement. Essex County retirement is currently at a 8%, plus there's an ask for another 115,000, which we'll get to later. But the 1.547 million for Essex retirement at 8%. And for the unclassified, I just want to scroll down. Yeah, I guess we can do these. We'll do these. If there are questions, we'll stop. Otherwise, we'll just keep going through. Any questions on the retirement? Unemployment, unclassified employee benefits. That includes the Maya Health, which has at this point an 8.59% increase, or $176,000, and a realignment of two accounts. Totals to 7.74%, or $2,351,187, and that's primarily health benefits.
So it looks like that was reduced, right? That 176 now is down to 80.
Yes, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the new number in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the 859 represents the initial estimate that Maya provided to us before the earlier stage. We received the percentage increase of 3.22% on the health insurance benefits, and then sent this out right after that.
Right. So instead of doing the calculations, let's just do them.
So the 2,351,000 is the correct number. It just isn't the correct percentage over here in the percentage change.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, that, right?
Yeah, the 2,351,187 represents the actual, the latest updated budget number.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as long as we vote the CA, we're fine.
The CA, yeah. All right. Perfect. Thank you for catching that. So that's where we are, 859. It drops down substantially. Actually, it basically cuts in half, right? Or a little more than half. That'd be 160. So then workman's comp, property liability drops. So all in insurance on the unclassified insurance for workman's comp, property accident, and surety comes in at a drop of 61,000 or so, or 12%.
So Kevin, that liability for the property insurance is strictly based on experience rate. There wasn't a change in the coverage.
It's a combination of our past practice and an updated number that's been very positive for the town. And we budgeted this number more accurately to historical trends associated with it as well. They give us a percentage increase off the actual, and that's what this represents.
Okay. But there's no change in the actual coverage we have.
No, we didn't reduce coverage or go outside of Maya. This is it's consistent year over year.
Employee compensation has a drop of 25,000.
In the salary reserve.
Our salary reserve has, that dropped to 25,000 from 75,000. Just, I'm assuming it's because most of our contracts are all signed and you're through them. So that works for a total unclassified of 4,335,833.
Make a motion for positive action on that.
We have a motion.
Second.
David has seconded it. We'll do a roll call vote starting at the top this time. David?
Aye.
Karen Dow?
Aye.
Aaron Duvall?
Aye.
Mike Hartman? I mean, geez, not even Tim O'Malley? I go through that was last week.
Aye.
Tim and Che LLI. I think that's it. That is it. Because the rest is just the only thing left remaining are the schools. We got through everything else, right? At this point for the base budget.
Yep.
So the three schools, just to be clear, being the Topsfield, the Masco, and then the Essex.
And stats.
Yeah. You don't believe the numbers in there for Masco are correct right now?
I don't believe they're correct, and
oh no, you're correct. Yeah, this hasn't been updated. Mike's
it hasn't been updated, so this is not a correct number.
Okay. Yeah.
And this one hasn't been completed yet, and this one we've got to. That one's part of it. I'm sure we already know what that is, but we have to see it. Okay, that was great.
Yeah.
So, what we have left, the above guidelines. Kevin, I haven't received I was looking. I haven't received an updated warrant in the past week. Has anything changed in the past? I hesitate to do this because I can do it over here. The last ATM I got from you was a little over a week ago.
What's the version on that one, Mr. Chair?
For the ATM was 4.01.
That is the latest updated version. Yes.
Okay.
I'm working currently on 4.02.
And okay. All right. So I'll pull that up just to have it. And that's the one that I did the Excel to track it off of. All right. So we're making good progress. We have above guideline items, and remembering that we're going to any vote that's 3-2, I'm going to ask that we re-vote it next week. Simply because that could sway very simply, just with the two people who are not here, one way or the other. But I'd like to get through a number of these. Some of these are essential unfunded. Some of these are over guidelines, contractual. In the past, we've done them that way, gone from the over guideline contractuals and then work towards the other overs. Is there any preference, or we can start at the top and work through any of these? Identify those that we can support and those that it's probably better for a conversation with others joining us.
I've always appreciated our voting the contractual first, because those feel like the ones that are less negotiable, right? Yeah. Obviously, they are what they are. And then that gives us a number and we know where we're at that point, right? And then we can go from there, right? Okay.
I'm good with that. So our first one is the town hall, the equipment plotter for $3,500.
This is the one that died, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
We already have it, don't we?
It's on its way. Yeah.
So if we don't give him the money, he's going to come out of his raise that he just earned.
Going to go to his garage, yeah.
A lot of bake sales.
Start renting ice. Oh, wait, you better hurry up.
It refroze today. You know, actually, when I drove by early this morning, it looked like it had a nice.
So that's a yearly lease cost and it includes maintenance, Kevin?
It does. It's all inclusive. So we have a fixed cost each year.
Got it.
Okay. Any concerns? You want to do a roll call vote on this one, please? Or not even?
You want a motion?
Motion. That's what I meant.
I'll make a motion for positive action on the leasing the new plotter for an additional $3,500 a year.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion to approve with a second. Start at the top. Roll call vote. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Motion for positive action, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Roll call vote from the top. David Larson.
Aye.
Karen Dow.
Aye.
Karen Duvall.
Aye.
Tim O'Malley.
Aye.
Chair Elwell. Aye.
Could you make it one size larger?
Yes.
Jay, I'm kind of squinting into the screen. There we go. Perfect.
And is there a line item on that item number on that one? Okay.
That is, it's line 10, 15005 is the code.
Okay.
I'm trying to log it here, but unfortunately this is not set up to do 5 to 0. There we go. No, it keeps changing 50 to May. I'll cheat for now. There we go. All right. Next one is the town hall other contracts, cyber software for $8,310.
This is for the regionalization, right?
Regionalization, yes.
Mr. Chair, if I could make an amendment to that on the floor.
Okay.
So the ask for that will be $5,000 instead of the $8,310. Oh, my apologies. I reversed that. The ask is for $3,300. My apologies.
Do you want the $10 too, Kevin?
The saving of $5,000.
Do you want the $10?
If we give you another chance, will it go down lower?
Let's see how late the night goes. Right?
Yeah.
Kevin, did you need 3310 or just the 33 flat?
Leave on that one. 3300 will be adequate for based on our estimates.
Is this a change in the level of the software, Kevin? That's a big drop. I love it.
So what we did with the regionalization is in the last couple of weeks, we've we've got estimates back from our regionalization effort on a couple of IT items, including this particular one. This total line item accounts for not just cybersecurity, but a number of other items. And the over ask, although representing here is strictly cybersecurity, the remaining cybersecurity number is built into, it'll be built back in. The additional funds we need to be covered on this line item is that 3300. The other savings are it nets out as a savings of 5,000 overall. So although it says cybersecurity on this line here, cybersecurity is just one component of it. The remaining savings we have within the operating budget, the base budget, will cover the additional 5,000. That's how I should have said it from the top. That's what I wanted to represent it as. So my apologies if that was confusing. We found the savings within the base budget, and all we need is an additional 3,300 to get us to what we need.
Got it. So there's 5,000 saving in the town hall budget. This is the incremental addition.
Correct. Overall.
Less $10 from Karen Duvall. Okay.
I'll make a motion for positive action. $3,300.
We have a motion from Karen Dow.
I'll second.
We have a second from Karen Duvall. Roll call vote, David Larson.
Aye.
Karen Dow.
Aye.
Karen Duvall.
Aye.
Tim O'Malley.
Aye.
Jay Alwell, aye.
And that was line 11, right, Jay?
Yeah, line 11, 15005. Next one. Fire professional services ambulance billing. So this represents funds needed to pay contracted vendor 4% of actual revenue. This is kind of one of those things where we're making more money, so we have to, a lot more money, so we have to pay a little bit more. So 8,100 there. Any questions, concerns? I believe the chief is still on, if there are, but I don't know that there will be on this one.
I'll make a motion for positive action, additional 8,100 for ambulance billing services.
Okay.
Okay.
And Tim O'Malley has seconded it. We roll call vote. Tim, starting with you.
Aye.
Karen Duvall.
Aye.
Perfect. Karen Dow.
Aye.
David Larson.
Aye.
Jay Alwell. Aye.
Jay, can you just let me know what line item that was?
That was line item 20, line 25, code 22005, 53,800. Guess I need to do both codes because 22005 is the general ledger.
Yep.
So the account number is 53,800.
Okay.
Library, line 37, GL 61005, 53045 for a code, 53045. Do I have bingo? $312 for library computer expense. This is an increase from $6,329 for computer expenses to $6,641. For internet, antifreeze, server backup, Wi-Fi subscriptions, and website hosting.
Make a motion for positive action on this amount.
All right.
Second.
Karen Dow has motioned. Karen Duvall has seconded. Starting at the top, David Larson.
Aye.
Karen Dow.
Aye.
Karen Duvall.
Aye.
Tim O'Malley.
Aye.
Jay Alwell, aye. Next is Library Network Administration. This is the budget currently at $23,198. They're asking for an additional $464, or about 2%, to bring the budget to $23,662.
Make a motion for positive action.
Karen Dow
Second.
and Karen Duvall is seconded. Roll call vote from the bottom. Tim,
Aye.
Karen Duvall,
Aye.
Karen Dow,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Shay, aye.
Shay, I think we have to vote the green column. At least the GASB, because that wasn't in
Yeah.
the base budget. It's in Mike's model,
Okay.
but it's not in the base budget. I think it's just GASB though.
Okay. So we'll run up. We're done here, guys. It's nothing else here because it's all there. We'll run up here and check. So fire, we're going to hold on that one right now. The GASB, the 8100. We'll vote that next.
I'll make a motion for positive action.
I'm sorry.
Okay. This is
It's a required audit.
audit. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, yeah.
And
I call this one. Yep.
And it's an every other year type of thing. So the costs aren't in the operating because it's a 2-year cycle.
Yep. I'll second. Do we need a second?
Yep.
Yeah.
Got it. We have a second for that. Roll call vote starting at the top. David,
Aye.
Karen Dow,
Aye.
Karen Duvall,
Aye.
Tim O'Malley,
Aye.
Jay Owell, aye. All right. So now we have some choices. We've done all of those. We can go to other over guidelines, additional funds needed. I know the chief is here. I'm encouraging that we can do some discussions on this one, but with both John and Mike out, does it make sense to hold on voting on that? I'm asking. I'm not advocating one way.
Probably makes sense to me.
Rather than rehashing it all.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
is this clarification, is this the police budget or the fire that we're referring to?
The fire right now.
Fire.
Okay, thank you.
It's just, it's a big number, and with 2 of our members out.
Jay,
Yes.
just an update. Somehow it didn't get in there. There's 4 very small over guideline police items that I believe, were being absorbed in his other budget and somehow didn't make it to this sheet. So
Are they these ones? The med exam?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kevin, I mentioned it to Catherine. She was going to talk to you about it to confirm it with Neil.
Yes, we are confirmed that all the remaining over asking for the police can be removed out of the request.
That's great. And just to highlight it again, he found a way to absorb it in his other. So it's not that these are going away, they're being absorbed, which is positive.
Including the copier expense?
Yes,
Okay, so all of them. Cool, that's great.
that's great.
Very nice.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
The town thanks you.
We're trying.
And you're doing, and they also thank you and Chief Brown and all of your staff for the work you do, not just the budget stuff. So,
Thank you.
so we can do, oh, sorry, I'm bouncing around on this. There we go.
Like that mad scroller in my meetings that I tell to stop.
Problem is that, some of, so where you have some lines that have been shared. So you get up to a line and you want to go over one, and it brings you where you didn't expect it to be when it starts merging cells. But yeah, I'm probably that way anyway. All right.
I thought line 3 was pulled as well.
It is.
It is. There's nothing there.
Oh, I'm sorry. The pictures are covering it.
Okay. Oh,
On my little screen, sorry.
got it. So yeah, the 10,000's been pulled out. So there's nothing here for this one. We said, let's just go down the other over guidelines, unclassified fixed charges, just see if there's any other. Fire, we said we're going to hold off on.
think it's just the purple and blue column left.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. See what I mean? Sorry, guys. In the wrong row. So let's do the purple. These are other over guidelines, additional funds needed. So town-owned electrical, we talked about this for the old highway, an extra $225 they're asking based on historical costs and future estimates for the electricity for the old highway garage.
Is that a new account or just additional?
Additional. So it had existed, they're just adding 225 more than the budget had last year. I think it was like a $400 or $500 budget.
It was $400. Yeah.
400.
That just safety lights or?
Just safety lights. Occasionally we'll do people go in to receive equipment and they'll flip the lights on for a little bit. It's just minimal use.
But,
I make a motion for positive action, $225.
we have a motion from Karen Dow. A motion from Karen Dow.
I'll second that.
And Karen Duvall is seconded.
I'm going wild.
Roll call vote, David Larson.
Aye.
Karen Dow.
Aye.
Karen Duvall.
Aye.
Tim.
Aye.
Che, aye.
Karen, we got to get your name in there as many times as possible.
It's
your
a
last-
lot easier
your last
on the
time.
minutes, I gotta
Yes.
tell you.
Me. Me.
Me.
Town clerk election workers, $9,669. Because basically, in essence, we have to go to 2 precincts, which will require additional check-in.
And there's also additional
Additional.
elections.
Additional elections and an increase in the minimum wage.
You want to do all these election expenses
Okay.
together just because it's
Sure.
all for the same reason?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion for positive action on the 9,669 for election workers, $300 for building rental, and $2,520 for the election expense.
I'll second that.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
We have a choice.
Not really. I don't think we do. I mean, the state says you have to go to 2 precincts. The state said you have to go to 1425, and the state said you have to run these elections, right?
Right. There's 3 instead of 1, right? So
I think St. Rose, the $150 per election to rent that space is a bargain. So thank you.
We basically, every year we tell the town clerk budget for the right number of elections. And so in order to have the town clerk budget be consistent on the base, when the number of elections pops up, we have to vote the extra.
I think what's in here also is something new and mandated early voting. I believe is another, also mandatory in-person voting.
in advance.
voting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much that adds to it.
That's basically Beth and or Aaron having to be physically present in the office, available all day. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Che, I can answer that if you'd like.
Please.
So I don't have the exact number on me because I didn't bring my worksheet home, but for the early voting, the in-person early voting, we're going to be mandated to have 1 week for the primary, or 7 days for the primary, and 14 days for the November election, the general election. We are budgeting poll workers to work for early voting. Now, back when early voting first started, we did try to absorb it at our counter and just do it, the 2 of us.
Okay.
But with COVID, not knowing where we were going to be going with COVID for one thing. And for another thing, it really is very intrusive on the office. So we are going to have to have poll workers there run to handle the early voting. I'm not sure if how much we have to keep the precincts separate for early voting as compared to election day. So I had to budget for 2 teams for 2 separate precincts, but there may be some savings there in the future if we're able to kind of condense that.
Once you learn and check, but.
And we're not sure where early voting will be, whether it will be at the fire station as we had it during the COVID during 2020, or if we are going to try and have it either in the selectman's office. Kevin and I have been working on plans for where we will actually hold it in town hall to make work the best for people coming and going, and also impact the rest of town hall departments the least.
Right.
The total amount, by the way, is $12,489.
Excellent. So we have a motion for $12,489 in a second. Any other discussion?
Who seconded it?
Karen did.
Okay. I got distracted. I'm sorry.
All right.
I just debated it.
Yeah. Perfect. Discussed it, not debate, discussed it. Okay, roll call vote. David Larson.
Aye.
Karen Dow.
Aye.
Karen Duvall.
Aye.
Tim O'Malley.
Aye.
Chair Howell, aye. Okay, so next on the purple, we have, those are all out. Fire medical supplies and equipment. This is the final expenses for 21 exceeded the budget by over 4,000. Current expenses are exceeding the half budget by approximately 8%. This is to get in line with that for the expenses, fire medical supplies and equipment. Are there any questions or comments on this one?
Ben, do you buy supplies in advance of the year, or do you buy them through the year? How do you do it?
Mostly, we try to maintain par. So as we use them, we have a storage room, and as we use them, we replace them. So we've been, it's the same as everything. Everything's so expensive. It's crazy how, COVID has affected respiratory, and CPAP mask. Karen, are you all right? A CPAP mask costs $125, and it's not reusable by us. So, that's I guess it's the cost of doing business, but everything is more expensive. But we do try to maintain a par level here so that we're not without what we need.
Autoclave or sterilize in any way? On any items or no?
No, we don't have that. We do a lot of the IV equipment. We and the medication administration stuff. We one-to-one exchange at our affiliate hospital at Beverly Hospital. So we exchange as much as we can with them. So it's just that our call volume, and so therefore the use of the disposables are higher.
I'll make a motion for positive action for $6,000.
Second.
We have a second from Tim. We've moved order. Warning with this. Roll call vote, starting at the top. David Larson.
Aye.
Karen Dow.
Aye.
Tim.
Aye.
Karen Duvall.
Aye.
And Chair Howell, aye. All right. So the building inspector, this number is dropped, right?
Yes. So I won't repeat myself, but we're in need of 2 hours instead of the 10 to get the professional support we need for that department, which is a great thing. And we're super excited. And my hope is tonight with success, I'll be able to put a formal offer letter to the applicant first thing tomorrow morning.
So how much did it become?
So the new ask is $4,950, which is a reduction of $13,529 of the original over ask.
Any questions, comments, commentary?
And in doing this, when I looked back last year, because we were bumping the inspector's hours up after Glenn had left, we did drop the admin assistant's hours back down. When Glenn was here and took less hours, the admin assistant went up. So we already made that adjustment.
That's correct. That's correct.
Well,
Kevin, as we mentioned at another meeting, there may be some extra hours here you can utilize throughout the town and other areas. So we've got 32 hours here. But I imagine the job is kind of spiky depending on what's going on for building.
Absolutely. And I as a manager, and as you know, it's always about the people you hire, and this having the opportunity during the budget cycle to have, if we found the right person at 40 that could do some of those things that might be needed to get the right person in the job, it was sort of a placeholder. But as we went through the interview process and talked with the candidates, and there was one who rose to the top very quickly, and that we're excited about, we were able to work it out so that 32 hours would allow us to still maintain the operations, and hopefully once he gets his legs under him, he can grow the position even.
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of other things you can use them for in town on the buildings.
Absolutely. We talked about getting on some of the working groups and some of the economic development that we talked about as an opportunity as well.
Yeah.
And there's some discussion underway about bumping up the permitting fees.
So we actually
happened.
A year ago, we actually did an audit of an analysis of other communities, and we were under market from our fees. So we bumped it up, and actually it timed up well because we saw a pretty significant spike in our number of permit applications. So over the last year, we've been able to receive the benefit in that additional revenue.
Okay.
Thanks, Dave. Your screen has switched.
Oh,
Yeah, I get some beautiful.
Sorry about that. It's Facebook.
Beautiful gambrel roof on one.
I was trying to find something out, but no, it was a workout thing for tomorrow. While we're doing this, good. So
the beer festival that we were looking at, or
no, I don't know what that was. No, I was trying to find out what full disclosure. I was trying to find out. My daughter wants to join me at the gym tomorrow, so I was trying to find out what the workout was, and it's actually on Facebook. But I'm kind of psyched that she's trying to do that. I'm trying to get her to join me, but thank you for catching that for me. So the 4950 is where we're at.
I'll make a motion for positive action on the 4950.
Second.
So roll call vote on 4950, starting at the bottom. Karen Duvall.
Aye.
Tim O'Malley.
Aye.
Karen Dow.
Aye.
David Larson.
Aye.
J-O-L-I. Let me copy that. And then next one is inspections, alternate inspector for buildings. This is the additional hours for the alternate, right?
Additional, it's a doubling of the rate.
That's correct.
Oh, doubling of the rate. Okay. Not hours, for doubling of the rate. I remember that now. Thank you.
Well, if we don't have alternate inspectors, we're in trouble. So
Right.
I'll make a motion for positive action.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
Quick question. I mean, Kevin, how many, I'm assuming we were in great need of this, right? And we were having difficulty. I mean, do you anticipate mean, this is usually like vacation coverage, that type of thing, correct?
Yeah, it is. And sometimes during the fair time, we were able to leverage the backup inspectors as well, both inspect in gas, electric, and regular building inspector. It's if the building inspector goes for training, or if we get really backed up and we need to move the permits for any particular reason, the inspector can come in and help us do just that. We did, like we always do, we did analysis to see what other communities are doing, because the last 8 months or so, when we had the new inspector in, we found that the dollar amounts people were taking other jobs, our backups we weren't able to get them in, and they were getting typically $50 in other communities, pretty standard rate. I think Glenn's prior relationships in the business helped us for a while there, but it was significantly down relative. We were the lowest community pay for backup inspector, to put it bluntly.
So this would increase the line item, double it to about 3,400 total,
That's correct.
which would be what, 68 inspections at $50 each. So
Yeah, I mean, quick math, that sounds about right. And I think we averaged closer to 70 or 72 last year. So this actually,
that's not
we were pretty much right at the target that we budget for.
that's not a big item.
And Kevin, what's the current trends with the permit rates? So not the rates per, capital, but the actual number of permits that are being issued.
Yeah, just bear with me for 1 second. I'll pull that data up.
I think we're down because the assessor's office projected a considerable reduction in the revenue, if I remember, based on new construction. I forget what it was. It was only $42,000 or something like that.
Well, there's some.
I thought we were way up.
Yeah, I thought there was. Mike, what did Mike made a comment on that? Sorry, that's what it was. There was an email somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Mike made a comment in his notes to me. He might have been to all of us, but
I think that's what I was referring to, Jay.
Yeah.
It may not be exactly the same.
Yeah.
Related. I don't know.
So the permits in fiscal 21, we had 973 permits. The year prior in 20, we had 743, 733. We had a spike in 18 at 913, then 787, 685. And then there's a downward trajectory in the 700s, 500s, 600s, and to the fiscal 05, which was our analysis. The revenue generated off of those with the increase in fiscal 21, we received $232,880, and in fiscal 20 it was $165,431. Year prior to that was $135,988. So we've seen in the last year, fiscal 21, an increase. If you want, I can pull the other data on the more recent years and some more granular data relative to the permits, the type of permits and such. I do have that, I believe, over in the my budget pile, if it's helpful.
That's just building, or that electrical and gas and
so
those are I believe that's a total number of permits pulled.
I'm trying to find. Okay, I don't
Fiscal,
have. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we did run analysis up to in fiscal 22 through basically the end of the year. So 6 months, we had 484 permits that were pulled. So if you annualize that out or you double it, we're over 900 again this year. And the permit fees we had received to date were $153,007. So we're probably going to be closer to somewhere in the 200s safely. Maybe even closer to the 300 based on that projection. I don't have an updated number since we ran that in very early January, first week of January.
If I remember correctly, Kevin, when we sat with Glenn, it was projected, obviously things can change, but it was projected that the number of permits was almost going to be 50% higher than the prior year.
Yeah, we've seen in the last couple of years, as the numbers indicate, that they've gone up significantly, and we're projecting this could be at the time when we met, And I apologize, I haven't gone back to it in the last month or so, but that we were going to see our highest number of permits pulled this year, and the highest revenues.
I think $50 is too cheap.
Well, the $50 is what we pay them. What do we charge for a permit? That's what we pay the inspector.
It depends on, there's a flat base fee, and then on top of that, it's based on
the percentage
project.
Right.
So
right.
That's why our number right now at 153,000 for the first 6 months. If you annualize that, double it, so it's 300. I'm not sure if we'll get there, because some of these might have been larger projects that tipped. We had 3 new home builds, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of what permits are pulled for doesn't really add to the real estate valuation.
Right.
So tool is 42,000 for new growth. It's not necessarily inconsistent. Replacing your water heater isn't going to get you
Right. It's a good point.
additional valuation.
Yeah, thank goodness, replacing the roof, same thing.
It
Well,
prevents
but
a
you
drop
want-
in value.
But you want to put a new kitchen in, and it does.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Kevin, has Glenn been involved with you on this hiring process?
He is part of our hiring committee. He is said the person that we're looking at right now, he has a lot of things going on. He has a baby due actually in 2 weeks, right when Glenn's supposed to be transferring responsibilities. But Glenn likes this person so much that we did go back to him and said, if you need a month before you come on board, Glenn would stay on an extra month. And Glenn did say, I'm only doing it because of the person. He really believes in them. We're really trying to get him on board.
Okay. So the motion is for 1721, right? Karen, did you make the motion?
Yep. Yes, I did. And David seconded.
Seconded. Any further discussion? So roll call vote. Karen Duvall. Karen, you're on mute now. You were probably there.
No, I said aye,
Yeah,
It
missed it. Tim.
and then I muted myself.
Okay, Tim.
Aye.
Thank you. Karen Dow.
Aye.
David Larson.
Aye.
Shay Elwell. Aye. Right. I do believe that is it for that column.
And at this point, we've approved about $50,000 total.
Yes.
There's one we could mention. It's not in that column. It was the tree removal.
I think that got pulled, right?
We did pull that over, ask.
I was going to ask with the warrant article.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
right.
Yeah. So yeah.
Again, the picture's covering that column. So
Yeah. Sorry.
That's all right. I just wanted
I end up having to move my picture around when I'm working off a single screen. I end up having to move it around all the time. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
But so we've done that. So I'd just like to go over what's left so we can make sure we have an understanding. Then we can assess what do we want to do from here. Because the other thing we still have to do is at least talk about and briefly review the warrant articles. And talk about just next week what we have and review that. And so what's left is the essential unfunded and one being the fire department item that we had punted. So I'll go through it. So the select board wage, the digital communications coordinator, this is the 8413 for the person to support communications website and additional items. The select board wages for the minutes secretary, increasing it by 2 hours per month. But it's really the equivalent. It's 2 hours per month, but only for a certain number of months, right? So it's really 12 hours in total. Planning development, salary, wages, and planner. I am kicking this one to next week. We need the full group here for this one. And then the fire department, both the 50, either the 50 or the, and the 138, just talking through all of that. And I think, oh yeah, library unanticipated maintenance and repair, 11,200. For the landscaping that they wanted to do, they talked about, and for water bubblers, replacing them.
Mr. Chair, if I could just add one point to that, that represents the number that you need to reach the MARS, the required percentage by the state.
Oh, that's
We
right.
put the salary from Laura into that line item because we know there's a lot of maintenance that's coming up, and we figured if we can do it through the operating budget, let's take advantage of that.
Yeah, thanks. That explains the
Yeah.
bubbles. I forgot about that. Thanks.
Yeah, good point. Thank you, Kevin.
That one I think we could do tonight if that's
Yeah,
okay
good.
with you, Jay.
I'm all for that. I would think that'd be great.
Okay, then I would make a motion for positive action on $11,200 to be added to library unanticipated maintenance and repair.
Second.
So we have a motion from Karen, a second from David. Any comments, discussions? All right, just for edification, this is all part of this money is being put here, as Kevin said, to remind all of us. The reason it's here is because in order to maintain your library status and be able to be part of the compact and exchange, you have to continually spend a certain amount year over year over year and have a minor growth. With the change in salary of our director, that growth, that drop in salary price would make it, without investing something in the environment, in the facilities, would make it so that we were not adhering to that.
And Mr. Chair, if I could just add one point, we did ask about a waiver on that requirement, and they did not allow us to have that waiver. So we did try that avenue as well.
They don't, the Mass Board of Library Commissioners really doesn't look fondly on waivers.
Yeah.
They were clear.
They set up a way to protect and ensure the libraries get a minimum amount of funding every year, and I understand it. Well, so roll call vote, starting at the top this time. David.
Aye.
Karen Dow.
Aye.
We have a change again in our order. Karen Duvall. And Tim. Tim.
Aye.
And Che, aye.
Very good.
All right. There we go. And that is it. So what we have left to vote are, for the overs as of right now, are the fire department, the planning and development, and if we wanted one, the select board wages, and the communications coordinator.
Mr. Chair, was the version you're working off, does it include the Parks and Cemetery Professional Services landscaping? I think in the version
I see that. Let me look and see. It may not, because the next two down.
that one right there, the highlighted. I'm not sure if you're something that the
You know why it didn't flow over into here?
Yeah, it didn't become an item.
It got withdrawn according to this one. So is it 10,000 what you're asking for?
actually the one above that, that's the $50,000 in and the 50.
Okay. It didn't actually full roll into a number here. That's why we missed it. Not saying it just.
Nope, no problem.
So,
and there's an offset on it, and obviously, and that's why I think that is represented that way. Because it's a zero. It's an impact of 50,000 in the general operating budget, but then we have the offset coming back in Article 2 to offset that cost in its entirety. So it has no impact to the operating budget. So So I'm not sure if you need to vote it, but I wanted to at least point it out.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
Because the reality is that if we didn't do this, yeah, you might have something else, but there would be $50,000 more in the perpetual care and the revolving fund. So I do think we need to acknowledge and vote somehow.
Yeah, I think we need to vote because it'll get added to Article 3rd and offset by Article 2nd.
Yeah.
Right.
And, so there is a question there, that, someone would ask you, Mike, I'll put my Mike hat on for a minute and go, if we didn't do this, what would the 50,000 in perpetual care and cemetery revolving fund be used for?
So
I
25
out of me for asking that one.
Yep. So 25,000 is people cost directly. That's for the summer help, which we only have. We have typically 2 people who do that out of the 25,000. And then the other 25 under perpetual care is used miscellaneously for things at the cemetery that we won't need to spend money on now that it's being outsourced. So that's directly a correlation. It's in a sense, no new money. It's just being allocated to a different group that's going to be able to cover all those costs at a much lesser expense to the town.
And do both the perpetual care and the cemetery revolving amount show up in Article 2nd?
The last draft, 4.01, has the 25 out of perpetual care and 25 out of revolving as line items.
Okay, I wasn't sure if both funds were available for transfer like that. Okay.
Do we want to wait till next week on this? Or
Yeah. The only thing that gives me pause here is just the use for various services that won't need to be done because this will do it is kind of generic. Personally, that's mine.
Is that in the explanation?
Yeah, no, I just typed that in. That's what you said.
Oh. So it's taking 108 hours a week that we've estimated in needs to weed whack and mow. That's typically done by our internal park and cemetery crew of 3, and who also have responsibility for the common, the ball fields, clock, pie, and I've got the list over there as well, and I can see it from here, but I can't read it from here. And there's a number of other areas in town that they maintain. So this is, as we talked about initially with the initial ask of the FTE, this is a significantly more creative and better option.
No, I understand. Okay. Does anyone others? Got it.
Kevin.
Sorry to interrupt there.
Kevin, when you refer to it here, though, it actually does have an effect on the budget, the $50,000. The important thing is it does not have an effect on the taxes. Isn't that a better description of it?
I would say that's an accurate. That's absolutely correct.
So
yes.
It affects the budget, but not the taxes.
Yeah, because Article 2nd moves the funds.
Yeah.
I understand the 25 perpetual care. That's the summer help.
The cemetery revolving fund is summer help.
Oh, the revolving fund. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The perpetual care, though, I'm not sure the details of how we're going to save 25,000 there, and miscellaneous. It's a big category.
Yeah, so that account's been used historically, and again, I can pull in and give you some snapshots of the last few years, but typically they'll spend a few $1,000s for mulch or seed, or sometimes it's a contribution towards a piece of equipment. That's what when I've looked back year over year of what's been spent. Typically, what we've spent out of there can range, but I'd say a safe estimate's about $30,000 to $40,000 on average over the last handful of years. We yield 3.08% since the account's inception in return. It's over $1 million in the account currently, and so last year we earned 4.58%. So basically, we feel very confident now. One of the things we hope to do when we go out to bid is potentially even reducing that cost greater. We know it's not going to exceed 50, but we hope it actually might come down in the next couple of weeks when we go out to bid on it even further, which would reduce the requirement of using either perpetual or the revolving fund if necessary. So this is a worst case scenario, but it's a good number at the same time, if that makes sense.
If the perpetual care, my understanding is the definition was perpetual, take care of it forever. If it's 1.1 million earning 3%, it's only a little over 30,000. If we're going to use 25,000 of it up, it won't take too long for inflation is going to really cut the value of that perpetual care over time and maybe not allow it to do what you want to do with it.
That's certainly, no, absolutely. I mean, we'll look at the scope of work if we need to value engineer it over time and to offset any inflation and costs to us, so that number, we won't outpace what we earn on that account. That's for sure. That's a commitment, because then we're going negative, and that's not something we want to do. So this is for right now, we're looking at it a 1-year pilot to see how it works out. And if it doesn't do what we think it will do, we can, as we've said internally as a team, we'll pull the parachute and go back to the drawing board next year. But we feel very confident that this will be successful. It's been successful in other communities. And like I said, we're getting a significant amount more of resources out at the cemetery, which will free up a lot of time for the guys to do the other things that they need to do that they're behind on.
Just to clarify my concern, though, it wasn't spending more than we earn. It was the capital, the base amount over time, losing its value due to inflation. So in 10 years, we're still sitting on a little over $1 million. We can't increase this takeout. I see one huge advantage here I've never heard in any of the meetings is seasonally, this aligns with the cemetery's needs a lot better than trying to hire summer help.
Absolutely.
It's always been a problem trying to get them lined up when the grass grows, as Mr. Shepherd used to say. So,
and we did have our two Jack and Jackson, who are our two last year that worked. Both one's gone to work for investment firm actually, and the other one's is doing something different now. So we would have to go and find new help, which gives us an opportunity, and that's part of the reason we explored it this way as well.
So the idea here is we free up one of our current employees can go work on the other fields. Is that the idea?
Sometimes more. So sometimes we're in there when time requires it. Our guys are being pulled into the cemetery for a project or to mow or to whack, and then they're getting pulled off of that to go to the ball fields. And it's sometimes a challenge to balance the priorities when multiple requests are coming in.
That's creative. It's pretty good.
Hey, David, I told Gary Wilds instead of summer help, what he really needs is retiree help.
I said the same thing too.
There you go.
Anyhow. Not for raking, Karen, but for driving the tractors around the common, especially when they have a strawberry festival or something.
If anyone wants to jump on a zero hour, let us know.
Nice job.
Okay.
Yeah, some of us old guys can actually use backhoes and stuff like that,
Extra things.
That would be entertainment.
All right, I lost it. So let me go way back.
So this company has done other cemeteries, Kevin? This is their business?
So ProTurf is the company that we've had the initial proposal. They've come out to the site. They gave us an aerial on the computer quote. Then they came out and they reduced it significantly because they really want the work. And it's they do it in, they're in Andover. They might be in Lowell, and I know they're in Beverly as well.
Which was things like mulch.
Well, and for them, if things aren't growing because of a drought, well, they still have the contracted money.
True.
This is a good, and my understanding talking with Gary, this is a good sized contract for this crew or a light crew. Because of the requirement, you can fill 1 or 2 days on the schedule for the team. And it's not overwhelming, the acreage, and it's not too small where the resources deploying, there's a cost to doing just that. So it's
Great. Okay, so do we want to vote this one? Do we want to? So again, it's $50,000 cost to the Article 3rd, with an offset from Article 2nd for $50,000. The 25 of which is for it was the summer mowing help that they won't hire. The other 25 is, some of it is things like, as I understand, seeds and other things, mulch and things that they won't need. And also, the last bit, was it hours? Kevin, what was the other bit of that? I'm missing still something on the various services.
On the perpetual care,
Yes.
occasionally it partially used to cover some of the costs for equipment.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So some of it's going to come out of the general fund then for expenses that we're covering right now out of this, out of the revolving fund, or?
So because we don't have the requirement to need vehicles or equipment for the cemetery, because cemetery funds are only for the cemetery, we don't need those funds
Right. We don't need new weed whackers.
For the cemetery, right?
Okay. Now it makes sense.
If everybody else is okay, I'll make a motion to add $50,000 to Article 3rd to be offset by $50,000 in Article 2nd for landscaping services at the cemetery.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
So we have a second from Tim. Roll call vote. All in favor, starting at the top. David Larson.
Aye.
Karen Dow.
Aye.
Tim.
Aye.
Karen Duvall.
Aye.
Che. Aye.
Thank you.
Just while we have,
Sorry.
Shay, while we have Kevin here, can I ask the digital communications coordinator, and that's $8,413. That's not from the PEG funds, right? That's the stipend amount that was going to somebody else.
So that's correct. That is the total. That's the net amount is probably the best way to put it, right? So there's a $5,000 stipend that's provided to the website person that will offset the cost in its entirety. We estimate in this, we're estimating right now, person's working 6 hours. We're estimating with the website could go up to 8 hours. We're hoping it's going to be a little bit lighter than that, but that this would cover 8 hours. I think it's in the explanation, 8 hours of the person doing both social media as well as the website.
But so the stipend, did that get pulled out of the Article 3rd base budget, or is this 8,000 is in addition to the stipend that's already in the base budget?
It's addition. It's in addition to the 5,000. 5,000. It's 5,000 is not being doubled. It's still the 5,000, and then on top that's the 8,000 that's being asked for the position.
And the PEG funds come into this how?
5,000 still stays in the PEG just as it is already. So we're not asking for any new money out of PEG. And that covers the website portion of what this person will be doing. This 84, or at least part of it, this 84,103 represents the remaining amount over the 12 months to cover the costs of that person.
So the annual cost is $13,413.
That sounds correct. Yeah, add 5,000. That's right.
And 5,000 is coming out of the PEG funds.
Correct.
And that's coming out now as a stipend for another person. It's just going to be shifted over here.
Exactly. Just taking one. The person who's receiving it currently will no longer receive it, and the person who's just come on will be taking it.
Yeah.
And if we didn't add this money, the person who just came on is sort of out of luck?
If this money's not appropriated, we will not have a funding mechanism to keep the person on.
Okay.
So I have that off. I'm prepping for the next one.
That's all right. When we have a part-time person, Kevin, maybe you know, or maybe Catherine, are there still some benefit costs or costs outside of the salary, such as Social Security match? I know if you're a contractor, you pay your own Social Security, but what if you're a part-time employee?
So because they're part-time, they're not, we have the pension system, so Social Security doesn't come into play in this example, but the federal taxes come out of it, the state taxes come out of it, the standard removals on the pay stub. There's the regular contributions that are made. This person though accumulates it. I'd have to double check, Ms. Celeste. I don't want to misspeak on exactly if they're going to be, if they stayed on employed for us for 20 years, if they'd have pension eligibility.
We can ask Catherine next week, but I was just curious, working as a consultant, we had this discussion in other meetings versus a part-time employee. What's the difference to the town?
So direct dollars that we need to contribute for the person, there is no additional cost as a part-time employee to us in real time as we go. I'll double check on the pension system, but I don't believe they're eligible, but I'll double check that.
Yeah, there must be a difference one way or the other, whether it's liability. I don't know. I was just curious.
Typically anything 19 hours or less are unbenefited in across the board. General, like I said, taxes come out, the basic things like that, but and they do not accrue vacation or anything, so there's no time off allowed.
I know in industry, I believe if you were part-time, you did have to deduct or match your Social Security, pay half of it. If I remember, that's why the question. Okay, thank you.
Cool. Okay, so do we want to hold this one till next week? I see Karen saying yeah.
I'd rather.
Okay. How about the 552 for the the hour, averages out to an hour extra a month for the board secretary?
I'll go for it. Or maybe not. Maybe to be consistent. It won't take up any time next week either.
Yeah, I'm not worried either way. So
let it go. We'll
right.
vote on some warrants, huh?
All right.
Yeah. Or at least look at them.
Yeah, at least look at them.
Come on, Karen.
It's 9:30. I got to get up before 5 tomorrow.
So one thing on the interest of that, I'm going to ask because of purely selfish reasons. So that nice job, guys. We got through a lot on this. We're down to 1, 2, 3. What are we missing besides for those 3?
4.
That's it.
4.
Those 2. Oh yeah, planning, and then the planning. And the planner. So we're down to 4 items on the over ask. That's nice.
Yep.
I'm going to be asking, I think I've alluded to this already, but I'm going to be asking for tomorrow, for next week, that we start an hour earlier. Shoot, I went the wrong way with that.
Sure.
For very selfish reasons, but I have an event I'm going to that night. So I'm on vacation that week and I'm away. So I'm hoping we can start at 6 o'clock next week, but we'll talk about that in a minute, I guess. I just want to, as we go through these are just, we're not worrying that right now about who's got these assigned. We'll share that out.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, Tim, Tim's
gone too
in Hawaii. So, congratulations again, Tim. That is awesome. But if we go through these, some of these are pretty standard and we've done for years, like the Tri-Town Council, Senior Care. I'm happy to vote these now if anyone wants to. We can go through them. Let me try and do this, see if this works.
That's the vote tracker, isn't it? It looks like that's not updated to match the current list of warrant articles.
It is not. So like I've just been trying to update it. This is the latest version. And I've, for example, the 24th is removed.
Oh, it is.
The land purchase, water tank storage land purchase has been removed.
Okay. There were another 4 or 5 Masco.
Yes.
Amendments.
Now, I took all of the Masco ones and just because they're down here.
Okay.
Because they didn't have a number associated with them yet.
Got it.
So I put them down there. The only other one, tree plantings, 26. So tree plantings is a new one.
Che,
Yes.
Mike put a warrant vote tracker into the model that I think might be
Updated.
the right thing,
Oh,
because it's got tree planting and it's got.
Okay, then let me pull his. That'd be awesome. Yeah, there we go. He's got tree planting.
Yeah, okay, good.
There we go. Look at that. I hadn't even gotten to this yet. Good job, Mike. So these are the warrant articles as they exist right now. Are there any of these that we, obviously we're not going to vote 2, we're not going to vote 3, 4. Well, we could, no, I don't even think we do 4, 5, 6.
The whole consent agreement, we could vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can vote, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, up at least down to 12, I'd say we can vote, I think. So starting with grant authorization for town projects.
Make a motion for positive action on Article 7th. Typically we've let the liaison do the motion, but it'll be a lot easier for the minutes.
I'm full support of that this year. Let's just
if the same person does the motion in the second, that would help a lot, because then it's just copy paste.
Right. So unless there's an objection, can one of you volunteer to take to do seconds on these? If you have one you're not comfortable with that's perfectly fine. Just say so. But otherwise, there may be 1 or 2 of these that we choose not to vote, or there may be 1 or 2 of these that you'd prefer to vote no. And seconding doesn't imply that you support it. It just implies you're supporting that we vote on it.
Right.
So first one is grant authorization for town projects. Whoever seconds this is so nominated to be going forward to second the following ones as much as they can. So we have a first. Will someone second it? Second. Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
There was trepidation there, I understand, but so any comments on this one? Comments or discussion? No? All right, then we will do a roll call vote off of it. I'm just moving this out of the way so that I can update it, but get it nearer so we can have it. Roll call vote. David Larson.
Aye.
Karen Dow.
Aye.
Tim O'Malley.
Aye.
And Karen Duvall.
Aye.
And Che is aye.
Che is aye. Thank you. Oh, crap.
Well, we already had 4, Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, I got to record. Is it 4
Say
to 1
1
or 5
absent
to 0?
Okay, good.
Okay.
Next one. Mass DOT authorization for DOT. In essence, as I remember having this explained to me, this just allows us to grant the select board to actually enter the contracts with the state and receive the fundings and do the road work that needs to be done every year.
Right.
Free money to us. Well, we paid for it through our state income tax, but yeah.
We're getting back a portion of the money we've paid.
A small portion.
Yes.
I make a motion for positive action on Article 8.
Second.
Roll call discussion. Roll call vote from the bottom. Karen Duvall.
Aye.
Tim.
Aye.
Karen Dow.
Aye.
David Larson.
Aye.
Dave. Aye. Tri-Town Council. This is every year we give some funds to the Tri-Town Council that supports Topsfield, Boxford, and Middleton in the youth. I think any of us who have had kids at any point in the past, whatever time, have seen and know what this group is. $21,525. Do we have a motion and/or discussion or concerns? Let me do this before I pause it. If any of these, anyone says, you know what, let's not vote on that, speak as I bring it up, I'll ask, and then we can just keep rolling through them. I don't have to keep asking.
Just full disclosure on this, the board increased the amount by 2%, by about, what was it, 5%, I think.
5%, yes.
5%, yeah. We hadn't gone up in a number of years, but this is up about $1,000 from last year.
Thank you, Dick. So Karen?
I'll make a motion for positive action.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. David?
Aye.
Karen Dow?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Karen Duvall?
Aye.
Jay Elwell, aye. Next is senior care. To save the town, this is to $1,500, and it's an annual grant that we do to senior care for over 40 years, supporting Topsfield and 8 other, I think it's 8, yeah, right, so what it was, 8 other towns, $1,500.
Make a motion for positive action.
Second.
Roll call vote or discussion? Roll call vote starting at the top. David Larson.
Aye.
Karen Dow.
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Karen Duvall?
Aye.
Jay Elwell, aye. Compensated absence fund for $100,000. This has been a traditional one that we put in at this amount to fund this account. Any concern with moving forward?
Just some education. How do we come up with 100,000? Do we use that? Is that?
So we look at it each year based on how projections on potential retirements that we might have and exposures, and we make sure that we have enough money in the account to cover our cost for an upcoming year. What we did this year is that we looked at the roster and just kind of got a best guess on who might be looking for that retirement, and talking with Catherine, the 100,000 was the number that was the number we wanted to move forward with again this year.
Yep.
What exactly does it pay for?
It's at the end of career when you retire. Currently, you receive 25% of your accumulated sick time at your current rate, and up to 1,760 hours. It also covers any accrued vacation time and personal days that you have not used. And we can typically, depending on the person and how long their service and how much they've accrued, we've seen typically anything from $10,000 to $45,000 in payouts. We estimate somewhere between 15 and 20,000 per person.
Not that I want to get into this.
I'm quiet too.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
it opens up a whole bunch of questions for people.
Yeah.
It's something that we're working on. I would point out that in the union contracts this year, we were able to, the multiplier on sick time, reduce that from 25% down to 15%, which is pretty significant to be able to get that in the contract. Obviously, it's offset by other things, but that was a long term.
Did I hear correctly, Kevin, that it's 1,700 hours of unused?
Yeah, you can accumulate up to 1,760 hours of sick time. Vacation time's capped at 1 week carryover.
So that's almost 1 year, right? It's 44 weeks.
You get paid 25% though.
Correct. So if you're $100,000 employee, you can estimate that it's probably about $25,000 on that particular line item if you've accumulated your max at the time of retirement.
So it just is that number that, it used to be 100%. This is something that Massachusetts towns have been working down for a number of years.
Okay.
And do we limit the number of vacation that people can carry over from year to year?
We do. That's maxed at 1 week. We have a cap at I think it's 25 is the max. If you don't use any vacation, your final year of service, plus a 1 week carryover. I think that's.
We don't accrue for this vacation in our accounting. We just set up this fund as a payout for people when it happens.
It's the end of career line item that makes sure that we have the money for those retirees.
And the personal days, or use them or lose them in any given year?
That's correct. So if you don't use them, you do lose them.
They get taken.
This would also apply to people that, like, if you had to terminate somebody, this would also apply to those people as well, right?
We do not have to pay on the termination on either sick or vacation. I can't remember off the top of my head. My apologies. But one of the two.
I think you have to pay on used vacation.
It's vacation. Yeah, that's
accrued vacation.
But would that come out of this money as well?
It depends. It depends how much it is. We might use it. It might be able to be absorbed within the operating budget, but typically this would be the account that we utilize.
One would hope that if you're terminating, it's going to take you a little while to hire, and maybe you're using that salary for those coming weeks or whatever to fund the liability.
That's right. Exactly.
But clearly, if we had somebody that was working for us for 5 years, and in their 5th year, halfway through the year, they decided to leave and had accrued vacation, they didn't take any vacation, then we would be responsible for paying for that vacation. They're not retiring. They're simply leaving the town, the company, so to speak. And so it's a small amount compared to the retirement ones typically for sick leave, but we also need money for somebody who just decides to leave and has accrued vacation that they haven't taken.
That's correct.
Okay. Any other questions? I mean, it is, Tim, it is something that we've had conversations on annually for a number of years. As we've watched it slowly, transition from there were not necessarily here, but I do know of neighboring towns where people walked out with a year's salary or more.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
This is also one use once upon a time for the FinCom reserve fund. If somebody left unexpectedly, you hadn't budgeted for it, you had to pay them, and there you were. So much better to have a fund set aside that's prepared for it. Doesn't catch you quite as much by surprise. And the FinCom reserve fund, the amount has been the same. Actually, at one point we had 150,000 in it. So it's been the same for years. So this is one thing that sort of smooths it out. And if somebody doesn't leave, well, you don't need to move as much into it the next year.
Well, that doesn't all go to free cash, Karen?
No, the compensated absences fund, I think because it's a fund, it rolls over in and of itself.
So it just gets topped up then?
Yeah.
Exactly. And we know we have future retirements happening before now and the end of this fiscal year, which will drain existing reserves down. And then we project out, I think, 6 to 7 people in the next coming year. So it's almost dollar for dollar.
So the net here is probably not 100,000. It would just be the incremental, what we spent this year out of it.
Yeah, but if you have 6 or 7 people that are going to be retiring, it'll probably be a big chunk.
Yeah. The teachers, Kevin, are separate, right?
Yes.
That's held in the school budget.
Yeah,
so often when a teacher retires and is going to be replaced by a young, less expensive person, you don't see the savings right away because you had to pay out the teacher who's retiring.
Okay. Any concerns on this one moving forward?
I'll make a motion for positive action on Article 11.
Second.
Roll call vote starting at the top. David Larson.
Aye.
Karen Dow.
Aye.
Tim.
Aye.
Karen Duvall,
Aye.
Che, aye. Unemployment compensation for 80,000.
I'm not totally clear what that is.
It's our unemployment fund. So when we have to pay out unemployment, we utilize this fund to ensure that we have the funds available to do so.
So is this shared with the state, or are we totally responsible for the unemployment?
This is our contribution towards the unemployment.
Like unemployment insurance, right?
It's
So
the actual dollars that we
pay this amount every year, or this is just when somebody leaves? How does it work?
It's realized cost. It's your actual cost you have to pay. It's not a service type or insurance type of thing. This is actual.
It's different than the industry pays to the state.
Right. Right.
Sorry, that's what I was used to.
Yeah. So this would be explicitly the cost of these people who leave, not the fact that we all, in business, you pay a small percentage on everybody that's employed.
Correct.
This is for those people that are laid off or quit. No, not even quit, right? It's got to be laid off.
They're laid off or terminated.
Right.
So
although there is some examples where resignations are receiving the benefits as well.
But is that only if there's like a reorg involved,
or they've got a reason for leaving?
If somebody leaves and does not get a job in the significant in a set amount of time, then they become unemployed, and the cost of that inures to the town of Topsfield until they get it or they run out of being out of a job, credits for being out of a job. So we are responsible.
Even if they quit on their own, Dick.
That's my understanding.
We've had an right now that we're dealing with.
I'm sure.
So I guess my understanding, a little different, is that in general, you need to show some sort of cause to allow you to just a simple "I quit" is not sufficient to justify getting unemployment. But there are, and we're getting into an HR situation now. There are scenarios where someone can argue that they were that the work environment wasn't appropriate, healthy. There's reasons that you could quit that would still justify unemployment.
COVID laws that were enacted are an example of just that, where
good point.
State that due to COVID and care of my children, I have to resign from my position. And we've seen examples where that results in unemployment benefits.
Yeah, that's a good
in any
point.
case, it's things we're obligated to pay, and this is another one of those funds that you don't have to have this wildly fluctuating number in the operating budget every year. You top it up as needed. So I'll make a motion for positive action.
Second.
Any discussion? Starting at the top this time. David.
Aye.
Karen Dow.
Aye.
Tim.
Aye.
Karen Duvall.
Aye.
Che Elwell, aye. All right. Anyone want to discuss facilities repair and maintenance fund of $25,000? Any concerns? Do you want to? Okay.
It's fine with me.
Yeah.
I make a motion for positive action on Article 13th.
Second.
All right. Any discussion on this one before we go? This is just our regular fund for maintenance on our equipment. This is something we pushed a few years ago as well, because we believe maintenance saves money.
Yeah, just a comment. I've seen it used in a couple of my liaison cases very effectively, to get the maintenance done when it needed to be done, and it wasn't in their budget. So it's apparently a very effective approach townwide.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's a pool.
Yeah, Yeah, but it can shift any way you need it for that.
Yeah.
That roof repair or whatever.
So starting at the bottom this time, Karen Duvall,
Aye.
Tim,
I,
Karen Dow,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Che, aye. I'm going to skip the next one. Sorry, Chief. I think
we probably ought to skip a lot of these.
Yes, the radio. Yeah. Let's just. But I just want to start there. Sorry, Chief, but I think this one is. I don't think it's going to be a problem, but I think it needs discussion with the whole committee. Radios, skip that one or go.
I'd like to suggest we just push the rest of them to next week.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Even the Stewart School floors.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me just go down landfill, tree removal, tree planting, field improvements, the MS4, codification of bylaws. A couple of those will go quick, but so just to cut, and then the Masco amendments. I'm going to suggest on those. Has the numbering been finalized on those?
Yes.
All right.
It's numbers 30 to 35.
Yeah. My suggestion is that we take the non-financial ones. If we can, we discuss the financial ones next week. And the non-financial ones we push to the 28th, just in timing. I want to just get what people's thoughts are on that. I'm trying to think about trying to make next week's an efficient delivery as well. And then, we've made a huge amount of progress, folks, but we've got a couple of things here that are going to take some discussion. So we have 4 on the over asking, and then we have basically police cruisers down to codification of the bylaws. OPEB stabilization, I don't envision those being an issue. We just traditionally, they're according to our guidelines. So the goal would be tomorrow, next Monday, is discuss the other 4 and discuss these items 14 to 29. And then 37 and to 39. Does that work for people?
Sure.
Right. Is anyone my ask of 6 o'clock? Can we do a 6 o'clock start next Friday, next Monday?
Give me a minute to check.
Okay. And if you have yes.
It's just for we have a select board meeting on next Monday. So I'll work with the select board and with Debbie in my office to discuss if we have any flexibility on the start time as well.
So just know that assuming we can start at 6, I have to step out at 8. So, from a planning perspective, it's going to be a 2-hour meeting, or if we're not there and John can continue it for me, but we're going to go through these very quickly. Honestly, I think we're in a pretty good place for this, where we are now. And I think we can do it as we go through these.
I can do 6, Che.
You can?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kevin, one thing that came up before you joined was when we were voting the base budgets.
Yes.
I believe from the last meeting, you were looking at some changes, ways to reduce it a little bit.
Yes.
We weren't sure how we voted all the base budgets, but we weren't sure how that would get rolled in.
Sure. Well, on the over asking, obviously, as we went through tonight, we made some adjustments that I know we've adjusted. There's certainly some areas on the base budget that we're looking at as well for some further reductions. I think actually,
I would ask. Just advise us what they are, since we've already voted it in the base budget. You can just let us.
Not right now. What we're saying is that what we need is we're going to need to reconcile any of the changes to the base. reductions to the base. The over ask we were taking care of, but for the base, we're going to need to reconcile those and revote those items if there are any changes.
That's correct. And Mr. Chair, if I could just for 1 minute, one item that I between now and the next meeting that I'm excited and anxious for is the find out on the model what levers that we're willing to discuss or consider when it comes to trying to balance our budget this year. Obviously, we still have a pretty sizable bogey out there that we're trying to get down to. And, things such as the snow and the overlay, the free cash to offset the tax levy, and certain other ones as well, are things that are not budgetarily related, but actually have an impact on where we go with balancing that budget. And as I'm thinking between now and next week and going back to the schools as well, it would certainly be very helpful to have at least an understanding of what appetite the finance committee has with relation to the existing model and what levers might be available to us to help us balance it this year.
Can I put a point on that? What you're explicitly asking is how much free cash and how do we want to use free cash?
In certain areas, where do we want to be conservative and not conservative, like the overlay? No, because those are big chunks. I mean, I know on mine, I've got $200 in some areas, $500. I'm taking out $1,000, $5,000, but it's not going to get us.
No, those that's not worth.
You're draining.
Really.
You're trying to drain the ocean with a Dixie cup. So I think what you're asking is that from in general, from a policy and perspective, what does this committee feel about the use of the one-time funds or not one-time funds, of the free cash and or places and or some of the assumptions for revenue and costs, right?
Correct.
The snow and ice deficit, I think we have to rely on what Gary and Catherine tell us.
Yeah.
And also, if there are going to be turnbacks this year that can take care of it instead of having to roll the cost, the deficit into fiscal 23. So we're going to need.
We are not going to be. We likely will be deficit spending, but not to the amount of anywhere near $100,000.
And so we can take care of it with special town meeting.
That's right. That's
FY 22 turn back.
Yep.
Repurposing. Okay. Well, then, yeah, I would guess that can come out.
Mm-hmm.
I think Catherine and Mike debate the local receipts all the time, right, with Mike saying, hey, that the ambulance receipts are way up, and Catherine saying, no, but we have a process of, taking a multi-year average. It is what it is.
Right.
And there have been some receipts that have been down. So there's always that tension, and you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself.
That's right. And I know we've talked, Catherine and I looked at the revenue projections we spent a lot of time together trying to make sure we had a good number that represents the different mechanisms, how we're generating the revenue, but also making sure that we're taking that conservative approach so that we don't find ourselves in a bad place in the future as well. So one other particular one I would love some guidance on would be the overlay. We have 150,000, I believe, built into that on the model. Last time I looked.
The offset to the tax rate.
The overlay reserve.
Okay.
We have 150 in there, in I believe in the model currently. I believe last year we built in 75, if I remember correctly.
Model up. Go ahead, keep going.
I'm just wondering if that's a place that the committee feels comfortable at least discussing for potential reduction, or the committee feels that 150 is the number to use.
I think that we've often relied on the town hall finance professionals, between the assessors and Catherine.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that number, but I didn't want to be too presumptuous in bringing something back on that as well. So
So maybe bring that, we'll see. I was thinking about this, what I said earlier. The reality is these items here don't really affect the levy because this is all free cash. So if I'm more concerned about the model and getting the model done next week as much as we can. So if that has to take a precedence over voting some of these next week, we can do that. I look at my fellow committee members to make sure they're okay with that. But, the point being from a priority, it's the over budget has to be a priority. And then this guidance has to be a second priority. And then voting the other warrant articles can be the third priority. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah, I can't see using more than $250,000, $300,000 free cash to reduce the tax levy, just because we have that policy guideline. Yeah. It is what it is. And we added to the problem tonight by approving over guidelines.
Yeah.
Only 60,000 or so, but still, we've added to it.
And we have two significant ones coming there. There's, that we need.
And there's potentially a fair amount more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the elementary schools are in the model at the guideline.
Right.
And I haven't talked to John to know if there's anything else there.
So I've talked to the schools. It's after this meeting here, I am going to have a conversation with them about how we can further reduce their budgets.
Okay.
Or put themselves subject to an override if the select board's willing to do that. I mean, we may end up in that territory anyhow, depending on what we do on the other over guidelines.
Well, I promise you'll do everything in my power to avoid an override.
Well, there's nothing inherently bad about an override. If you need to change your level of service, sometimes you need an override if there's not some other service you can cut. And it's been a while since we had an override. There may be an appetite to pass one. I don't know, but you have to be prepared to not have whatever service that override was funding.
This is very, very helpful. I appreciate the extra time tonight to discuss your perspective, because I can take that back and we'll get to work this week, try to get to that finish line.
Okay. Anybody else have any concerns or comments with Tim or Karen or David?
Yeah, I mentioned it last week. I don't know if it's Kevin or Karen Duvall. The warrant articles from Masco, I just found them very hard to read. I don't know if there's another red line version that actually shows the changes, what was taken out, what was put in. Maybe it's the fact that it's red and red lined. I just have a tough time trying to understand what I'm voting on.
Yeah, let me pull it up really quick. So you're looking at 401, correct?
Yeah, I'm working at 4.01.
Okay, let me just see what we have.
I was going to say, I thought there was.
So the version you have is
that as well. Yeah.
Version you have is
Looks okay to me.
Go ahead. Do you want to? Yeah. So I don't think you have share privileges.
No, that's different than the one I was looking at. Maybe it's easier. I withdraw I'll go look again.
Okay. So this is version
3.3 has the red line, I believe. 3.03.
Yeah, I found that almost impossible to read. Okay.
Oh, it's terrible.
Okay. Nope. I withdraw my question. I'll go read warrant
4.1. 4.01.
Yep.
Well, hang on. Probably pause, because I think, Kevin, you're saying you're going to have 4.2 or something?
The only change is going to be on 4.2 that's coming out.
Yeah.
The only change is going to be on article, let me bring it up, 31st. Our lawyers and the school went back and forth, and we landed on the school's language. What you have is the lawyer's language. So I'm reverting back to the school's language, which our lawyers signed off on. KP signed off on for 31. So 31 is going to have basically a cross out above the indented text that's going to actually show what the old language was compared to the new. That's really all the changes.
Do the other towns send it to their council, Kevin, or do they lean on our funds to check?
So I have KP do a view of everything when we get to a certain point, and that was included in that. And they did have some comments back and forth, and we did make some modifications on the other articles, but nothing substantial enough that the school wasn't comfortable with it. The only thing they changed with the school was not comfortable with it was within 31. So that's going back to the old. So they did improve the document.
So my question again, do the other towns pay for KP that?
I'm not sure.
Share our costs.
I'm not sure. I don't know how they go about their process necessarily, but I know that they typically have legal reviewing their documents as well.
Would seem
I
like
don't know.
Yeah, it would seem like if we coordinated, it would make it easier and less expensive for everybody.
Okay.
Kevin, in this space, given that it's the 14th, I thought one of the towns had an early town meeting. Are we making changes to this that will make it into their warrants?
So I shared with Mike Harvey the final version once KP blessed it last week. Mike took it, said good with it. So he has our version that we're using, and he can disseminate it however he chooses at this point.
Yeah, I'll have to check in because my only concern is one of the towns I think has a really early town hall. I
thought someone changed theirs then, because historically unless there was one that was doing
We were always first.
We've always been first by a week plus.
Yeah, unless it was a special town meeting.
I think there was a special in one of the towns recently, or was going to be. And
that might be what I saw, but I just got concerned that we didn't have the language finalized.
Okay.
I'll double check. I just don't want to have us vote it and then have it not.
One of the town.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then it didn't pass, and they'll all come back and have to do it again next year. All right. Anybody have anything else?
Kevin, when do you expect to get version 4.02 out?
By the end of the day tomorrow, if all goes to plan, Mr. Gann.
Okay.
Right.
And that will be posted up on our work session board docs for anyone who wants. And I will send it out to the entire committee, both the select board and the finance committee.
Right.
The point is, you want any edits to you by mid-afternoon tomorrow?
That would be fantastic.
All right. Any final comments from anybody on the finance committee? So our meeting will be at 6:00 on next Monday, our next meeting. I will set up everything in the next day or two. I'll also send out, from a priority perspective, priority in order is model update with Mike based on where we are now, discuss the additional over asks and what that means to our overall budget is a goal to get through those. If we have time, which hopefully we will, but we'll see, we'll start doing the other warrant articles. Okay. All right. Karen, you've been doing them all day long. How about one more?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Everybody's
the race. David got it.
Muted.
Thank you all of everyone here. I appreciate it. Roll call vote on that. David Larson.
Aye.
Aaron Dow.
Aye.
Tim O'Malley.
Aye.
Aaron Duvall.
Aye.
Jay Owell. Aye. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Work. Thank you.
Good night, Kevin.